Mr. Scott, the meeting is yours.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate the assistance there with the Merge Live. Welcome everyone this evening, Tuesday, November 17th, 2020, 7 p.m. Regular Township Board meeting. As you all can see, the members of the Township Board of Trustees, department heads, and legal staff, engineer, fire department, everyone is here. I'm David Scott, your Township Supervisor until Friday. Molly Phillips, Treasurer. Missy Creech is our Clerk. Trustees, George Wepper, Vanessa Magner, Bob Burkheiser, Rick Sobel, and Fire Chief Jim Dundas, Engineer Jason Mayer, Attorneys, DDA Mark Stacy. Cindy Waker is our stenographer. Looking through there, Ben Sabrowski, Director Allison Lobert for the Commerce Community Library, Emily England for our Parks and Recreation and Senior Services, Janet Bushy from Human Resources and Finance, all 25 individuals. I see our two callers. One definitely is Supervisor to be Larry Gray. Save that phone number, 248-361-9408. He will be available. His email address is up and running, lgray@commercetwp.com. With that, we'll call the meeting to order. Remind everyone, take a second to turn off all of your electronic devices. And as I turn down my desk phone, otherwise it's going to blow us out of the room. And we'll call for the Pledge of Allegiance, if you will. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Just as a reminder, we'd like to show a little praise, and we're glad Mr. Burkheiser is back with us.
Thank you.
Been absent lately. We've had other people who have come and gone, but we're always happy to see a full board, everybody here ready to go. I would call for and entertain a motion to approve the minutes from October 13th, 2020 for the regular Township Board meeting and October 27th, 2020 for the quarterly Township Board meeting.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion by Trustee Magner, supported by Trustee Sobel. A roll call vote, please.
Magner? Aye.
Sobel?
Aye.
Creech? Aye. Phillips?
Aye.
Weber?
Aye.
Burkheiser?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye. Thank you. On item number 1, approval of the agenda, we do have a couple of just minor amendments that we're going to do. We're going to allow Plant Moran Cressa, our owner's representative for Fire Station 3 construction, Kevin Donnelly, will be doing a presentation. And we will also allow Mr. Core, Joe Core, from Pulte Homes to do a presentation this evening. We've also been asked to allow Senator Jim Runstead to join us. He's doing something in White Lake. He'll be jumping over here to us, so we'll accommodate when he arrives. Are there any other agenda amendments or anything that the board?
Yes.
What's that?
I'd like to break item 5 into 3 components, 5A, 5B, 5C. 5A is the 2021 non-union employee compensation. And 5B would be the 2021 elected officials, boards, and commissions. And then C would be the approval of the 2021 township budget.
Support.
Right, I'm getting it. So noted. Just an amendment by Sobel, supported by Burkheiser. Any other amendments or changes, deletions, or additions? Okay. We'll, with the amendments.
Motion to approve the.
Yep.
Motion to approve the agenda with the changes and additions.
Thank you, Mr. Sobel. Supported by Burkheiser. Roll call vote, please.
Sobel,
Aye.
Burkheiser,
Aye.
Magner,
Aye.
Creech, aye. Phillips,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 2 is public comments. Public comments is where we hear from you, the citizens. If there's something you want to announce, you want to share, you want to pass on so that a department head or any member of the public, if you would like to join us and make a comment or share about something on or not on the agenda, now would be the time to do it. Press *9 to raise your hand and allow Mr. Rob Whitus from Merge Live to see that you're interested in speaking, sharing some tidbit or information. And we'll give a second for everybody to maneuver through this process. *9 allows you to raise your hand.
It looks like we have one caller with their hand up at this point. Phone caller with the last 4 digits, 4240. If you press *6, you can unmute yourself and address the board.
Oh, hello. This is Pam Jackson, 5736 Lancaster Lane, Commerce Township. And I just want to address just a couple of items. First of all, Mr. Gray, congratulations on becoming the next supervisor for Commerce Township, and I wish you all the best the next 4 years. 2, after observing many of the committee meetings the last few months, I want to commend all the committees. You guys are doing excellent work. Be up and beyond the call of duty. 3, the clerk's office. I happened to go inside to vote, absentee. The work there was impeccable, and I was outside a few other days, and it's very organized. So I'm just really impressed by the work that the clerk's office has done. And then finally, Mr. Scott, I want to thank you for your service for the last 4 years. And then when I was on the Zoom meeting earlier today from the DDA, I heard a whole list of wonderful accolades, and I want to wish you the best in all your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Jackson, and all the department heads and everyone. Thank you for, in the boards, commissions, and panels, all thank you for your acknowledgement of their activity. And I couldn't agree more. They're a fantastic group of people. Thank you very much. Are there any other citizens that would like to speak?
Yes, it looks like we have another phone caller here. Phone caller 9408.
Oh, that's just Larry Gray. It doesn't matter. No, go ahead.
If you press *6, you can unmute yourself and address the board.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to jump on so you guys know I'm here paying attention to what's going on. Look forward to working with each and every one of you as we move forward in the future. And also I wanted to say, Dave, appreciate your service for the past 4 years to the township, and look forward to working with you in the future. If you folks need anything from me, as you guys all know my phone number, and my email is up and running, which is lgray@commercetownship.com. And once again, look forward to working with everybody in the future. Take care.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks for calling. Stop in, please. I'm sure there's paperwork that Mrs. Bushy needs you to do for W-2s and things like that. I got a pile of stuff for you to start digging through so you can kind of get yourself up to speed. I know that the law firm has reached out to you. I do know that you attended the supervisor's luncheon. Thank you for being Commerce's representative, and you'll do that every month for the next 4 years. So perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
It doesn't look like we have any more phone callers at this point.
That means we're doing a really good job, Rob, when they don't call a complaint. All
Very
right,
good.
we'll move on. Closing public comments. And we'll go into item number 3, public hearings, establishment resolution.
Dave, can I interrupt and can we jump to, we added presentations for Plant Moran?
Thank you. Thank you, Clerk Creech, for reining me in there. Welcome, Kevin Donnelly. Go ahead and unmute. And Kevin Donnelly is from Plant Moran Cressa. They are our owner's representative in the construction of our new Fire Station 3 at 2150 Welch Road. Go ahead, Kevin.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me here tonight. Don't have a lot to present, but I did want to give the board an update. Last time we met, if you recall, it was back in September. And at that point, we had recently approved the award of the general contractor, the Daly Company. Recently, as of last week, we started construction. So I just wanted to give the team a quick update what's transpired over the last few months. Like I said, we awarded to the Daly Company. They are fully on board now. We've executed all of their contracts, bonds, insurances. So everything from that end is moving forward. We've been able to procure all of the permits that are required for the last couple of months. And like I said, work has started out on site as of last week. So what I wanted to do is not only give the board a quick update on where we're at with construction, but maybe an expectation of what to expect moving forward. And I would like to get in front of the board now that we're under construction, maybe every couple months with some more formal updates, whether it be budget updates, some pictures of the progress on site, things of that nature. But we're going to continue on a regular cadence moving forward starting in January. So with that said, let me just share with the board what we were thinking to provide as updates, kind of a template. While this is from another project, I just want to give you a taste of what the board updates are going to look like moving forward. If you're able to see my screen.
We are.
Yes.
Change in any format, but it's going to be pretty much a dashboard report. The first sheet's going to include any key information as far as budgetary information, any key objectives on the project, key updates for the month. And then the next page would include, if I can show you here, progress photos, schedule updates, key activities that occurred over the last month. I think this would be a good tool to, to inform the board and keep them up to speed on an every, call it couple month basis. So if that's acceptable to the board, we're looking forward to, obviously, as construction progresses, providing further updates, like I said, in January. But what to expect over the next couple months as far as construction, like I had said, work had started out on site last week. If you've driven by there recently, the building has been knocked down and the general contractor is mobilizing on site. They're going to continue over the next several weeks with either site demolition work or site prep work to commence building foundations, following by masonry work, and they're going to start going vertical with the building. So that'll be kind of the ongoing activities over the next several months. You won't see the building probably starting to go vertical until I would expect late January or February. But at that point, things will go quite quickly. And right now, our anticipated completion date is the end of September next year, 2021. I think we reported out at the last meeting that Daly's contract award was based on their base bid, but the committee and the team was going to go through an exercise of value engineering. And that was predominantly a lot of the activities that we were doing during the month of September and even into early October as a team. And I'm pleased to announce that we were able to cut enough scope out of the project without jeopardizing any real key attributes and bring the project within budget. So that was our goal, and the team worked closely together to make that happen. So where we stand today, the project continues to be on budget, although work just started, and things are moving forward. So that was really the point of my update tonight, and just kind of lay out what some expectations are going to be over the next few months, and answer any questions anyone may have.
Nope, I really appreciate you sneaking in here for this. I know that it hasn't always been easy, especially with changes as they occur. I'm sure the board will look forward to these updates. I know the community is acknowledging the demolition, and they're looking forward to change, and they were worried where the guys were and gals were, but they're all working out a fire station on Maple in the city of Walled Lake. Good neighbors are helping us out, and we're partnering together as we have in other projects over the years. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it greatly.
No problem. Thank you.
Kevin and Chief, just not a question, but just also a voice of recognition and thanks, especially going through the value engineering. I know we weren't easy on you, and I know it was some stressful bits here and there, but it came to a great spot, and just really appreciate all the hard work, and I'm sure the going forward will be just as good.
Awesome.
Thank you, George.
I think our next, and I guess I'll reach out to Mr. Campbell for a little guidance on this one. Is it time where we can jump in with Joe Score, or do you want to wait until the topic and let him do a presentation then?
I assumed he wanted to do his presentation when his item is actually on the agenda.
All right. Very good. Then we'll move on to item 3, the establishment resolution, special projects number 46, special assessment district. I think we're aware, and I think entertain a motion to move this forward.
I'll make a motion to approve special, where the heck is it?
We have to open the public hearing.
Hi, thank you.
Oh yeah, you have to open it. Yep.
Yep.
Did you do that? Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Vanessa.
Mhm.
Opening the public hearing regarding special project number 46 SAD. And herein, we'll wake up the public again. If there is someone here specifically for this public hearing on special project 46, special assessment district, please, if you would like to comment, pro or con, input or whatever, now would be the time to touch *9 on your keypad so you can raise your hand and allow Merge Live to recognize you to get your input.
We'll give it a moment. No one has raised their hand yet, but we'll give it a moment. Press *9 on your phone if you'd like to address the board. No one has raised their hand.
Okay. With that, are any of the board members proxy or representing a citizen in the community, or if you yourself live in this district area? Any comments here? Otherwise, I'll entertain that motion. We'll close the public hearing and move on to the motion.
Make a motion of the Township Board to undertake the improvement project and establish and maintain a special assessment district to pay for the costs associated therewith, and approving the plans and estimates of costs therefore for special projects number 46.
Support.
Support.
Motion by Sobel, supported by Magner. Any discussion, questions, concern? Roll call vote, please.
Sobel,
Aye.
Magner,
Aye.
Creech, aye. Phillips,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Burkheiser,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 4, public hearing for the 2021 township budget. Item A, 2021 non-union.
You got to open the public hearing
Public
first.
hearing.
Oh, I apologize. Open the public hearing regarding the 2021 township budget. And regarding the budget, is there anyone that would like to make comments or input regarding the public hearing? This also is a time where you would reach out and do *9 to raise your hand, make comments, give input, suggestions, or information.
We'll give it a moment and see if anybody raises their hand. No one has raised their hand yet. We'll give it just a moment. Press *9 if you'd like to address the board. We'll give it just another moment. No one has raised their hand.
And any board comments under public comments, public hearing that we want to adjourn, or we'll close the public comments.
The only comment I would have, Dave, I'm not sure if it's here or the next one, is that we put a lot of placeholders in place to make sure things were in the budget.
Right.
Just want to remind the board, the department chiefs, whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the direction the board was going, and they still have to sell us on it, so to speak. So
Perfect.
thanks.
Great comment. We'll close the public hearing and move on to the board discussion. Item A, as Mr. Sobel added, 2021 non-union compensation. Why don't you lead it off, Rick?
Actually, I'm gonna let George start on this.
Okay.
So as in one of the last meetings, Dave, you had recommended that a group get together and go through criteria that you provided, including evaluations for at least at the director level for 2020 and leading into a 2021 compensation. I'll also point out that the AFSCME and the firefighters union contracts, plural firefighters contracts, have a standard 3% raise for those personnel. So as we discussed, non-union personnel, excuse me, we started out at the 3% level to be consistent, and then moved from there. So everybody has seen the recommendations, and Dave, we can go down as you see fit on here. I know that we've got some additional input from yourself on what you feel some of these numbers should be.
Like, if I could interject, George, just for the public's benefit of this. So the board asked that I go forward and try to get comparables for communities of the same size, departments of the same size, department heads and things of that nature. Came up with a variety of comparables, whether it was Chesterfield Township, Bloomfield Township, Independence Township, Orion Township, etc. I provided that. All our hope would be that, for the public's benefit, again, of course, we can't meet and decide with a quorum of the Board of Trustees. So we set it up so that the trustees or electeds could come in a 3 people or less group, review the recommendations, review the comparables, and then review whatever records they needed. I know that you did draw, some of you did draw on Mrs. Bushy to see what 20, 17, 18, 19, 20 wages, things of that nature. And then we also provided the individual evaluations for each of the, I'll say, 7 director positions. And then I know for sure 3 of you came in as a group, and I apologize, I don't know, Mr. Burkeiser has been indisposed, not able to come into the township hall immediately, but hopefully he's had enough involvement here. He understands and knows the level of activity and everything. Hopefully he's had communications with several of his peers. I'm getting a thumb up from Bob, thank you. And so then we threw that out there. Mr. Weber, thank you for producing the first document that we were able to work with. I only did a
Dave,
minor amendment.
So Dave, let me just finish up that and appreciate and truly appreciate the evaluations that you did with the with your direct reports with the directors, because I think those were very helpful. I think we identified that we have some work to do with several of the positions based on comparables, but we also understand that the environment we're in right now, and we feel that it's best to move forward with taking steps towards getting and ensuring that that our pay is comparable and competitive. And we tried to keep 4 terms in front of us as we were going through this. So first, we want to make sure we retain great employees at all levels. Second, we want to recognize what they've done and the work they've done, and I think the evaluation process is key for that. Third, we want to reward them, and fourth, we want to motivate them. So we want them to stay part of the commerce team. So with that, that's how we put that first draft together, and I'll ask if Rick or Vanessa or Molly or Missy want to add anything to this.
So while Dave, we recognize some of the numbers that you have, and not that we're in disagreement on all of the numbers or some of the numbers. We just felt that, like George says, this is a process. We didn't really get to do the full evaluation, setting goals that we're hoping to implement in the first quarter of next year, so that we'll have the full year, or at least 6 to 9 months of 2021 for full implementation of the procedure. We only had a short period of time here, no time to set individual goals or department goals. And with the economy and COVID and businesses being closed and shutting down again, whatever, to increase some of these numbers by 15, 20, 30% just seemed excessive to do all in 1 year. So kind of asking for everyone's patience, that we're acknowledging, and some of these numbers need to increase more than what we're proposing for 2021. And it'll just unfortunately have to take a year or so, 2 years to get to that place. So that's my only commentary.
Anything else, Vanessa, that you'd like to add or share?
No, they took a lot of the words right out of my mouth, but also we talked about next year developing some ranges that we would like each position to be in, so that the team knows like kind of where they can go and what the opportunity is. But that we just didn't have time to do that this time around, but we would like to focus on that next year.
Molly or Missy, do you want to interject anything, or are you?
Can I say one thing first? So on the sheets that you have on the left-hand column, there's a number so that we don't have to use names. If you want to, if there's any ones specifically you want to discuss, can you use the number, not the name?
Certainly.
Go
ahead, Bob.
So Dave, well, first off, I mean, honestly, I do, based on what's been going on financially with the township, the state, not sure what's going on. I think I do agree it needs to be stepwise. Number two, it's more of a question. I'll say number 15 is this that one from the library from a couple, 3 months ago that was approved as head of information services, right?
Correct.
That's the new job. Okay, because that's not what it says on there, but based on other stuff, I sort of thought it was. So, okay. So if we just modify that, if this is an official form of some kind,
yes.
That's head of information services. Okay.
Thank you for pointing that out. I would only share, and I applaud the Board of Trustees as we've worked our way through the 2021 budget. I really have come to enjoy and understand the discerning eye that you have brought to the table, the critical evaluation and reading of everything that we see and do, those things that ebb and flow, and not to be grandiose, but fund balance to individual expense. I would only suggest that when we take Commerce Township, being a community of over 40,000, I'm eager to see what the census comes up with a final. I again will praise the 2020 Complete Count Committee for Commerce Township for a job well done. It was only me. No, I'm just teasing. And lead us to a point where we need to recognize that being a community that is the safest community in the state of Michigan, with a population over 25,000, is based on our planning, the way we execute things, how we build, where we build, when we build, all of the facets that go into this, from code enforcement to law enforcement services to getting fire, support and water to the scene. And everyone that's on this screen, if you will, on our Zoom meeting, is a part of that. Every department head, every employee. And my goal is it was really to retain our employees who are quality employees. We have a phenomenal team in this building. Is to acknowledge the work that they are doing, very much as others have indicated, and then to bring them to a standard, which is where they should be serving a community of our size. I would also indicate that by being the critical analysis of the budget, we were able to identify and reduce expenses. And those reduced expenses, for all intent and purposes, would cover all the recommendations to bring all of our employees in these department head positions to that standard. And I understand that many of you are saying that you realize there is a standard that we need to reach, and you'd rather do it in 1 or 2 more years. I respect that. I just think we're capable of doing it now, and I would have enjoyed seeing us move that standard and vault forward. We've been very conservative. We've been very critical, and I will say that I myself, I inherited a process that was done by Supervisor Tom Zoner. Tom Zoner inherited that from Supervisor Robert Long, and all of you, Mr. Sobel is our longest tenured member, or Ms. Magner as our highest vote-getting trustee, have all carried those practices to everything we do every day. I want to applaud all of you for doing that. I'm just here to say, and not to embarrass anybody, department head wise, because I know people are very proud of working for Commerce Township. I just like to see us reach that standard sooner than later. With that, I'll start ragging on everybody. You all know what my recommendations were. My recommendations were based on comparables, what our neighbors and what our communities across Southeast Michigan that are of the same size and shape and dynamics are paying, and I think we should fall into those practices. But with that, I'm if there is any of the, using the list, any of the numbered positions that you would like to identify or highlight.
I would like to suggest that number 4 and number 9 need some tweaking instead of being at the basic 3% that is in there.
Okay. I guess to make it a little easier to follow, if we focus on number 4 first.
Want to so if you want to suggest the number.
Well, I would indicate that, I mean, for the sake of discussion, the recommended was 85.
So Dave, if we go back to the write-up you put together for that position, it was not glowing. It was fairly vanilla for that.
I guess I failed to uniquely identify. I think a comment that the board has utilized in other formats. I would suggest if you take number 4 and you think about what does that individual provide to the community, to the operation of the municipality, that number 4 position is indisposable, and it would be devastating to try and replace in a short order. I don't know that not everyone is fantastic and gleaming, but that's a person who comes to work every day, does their job, responds appropriately, and works outside the parameters of their job, supporting the municipality in many different ways. We all know that, and you don't want to release information, but we all know that there are a plethora of people that work in Commerce Township. They don't do their job and go home. They do their job, and they also work in elections, and they also work in charities, and they also work in other things. This is one of those people that rises to that occasion. And I would say that, you know, if you want to use things outside of his job description or item number 4's job description, it's an appropriate to target the 85,000, but anything that is 78,000 or higher certainly is a great place to start.
Can I just say that 3% is still a good raise. I don't want to look at it as that's a punishment. We took it as 3% meets expectations, and anything above that. So it's kind of sounding like we're giving them bare minimum, and in the past we haven't given raises if an employee wasn't performing. So I don't want to give the message that this position isn't performing.
I thank you for being discerning. I would indicate to everybody here, I don't know anybody that isn't proud to work for Commerce, honored to work for Commerce. They're flattered when they get raises. I just would say that this is an individual that could go into the public market or another municipality and make closer to what is the average. The average for that job assignment is $90,000 in Southeast Michigan.
There's a couple items also that maybe we might want more of certain positions if we give a higher amount of money to, and this might be one of them. So if we gave higher money, we have a little bit more expectations.
So
So
Dave,
also
The
Dave,
one that I brought up, can I say something?
Please,
'Cause
please, Molly.
I got to pick two numbers and now everybody else has been talking.
Yeah.
I may not have been going as high as Dave. I was going to suggest maybe 76, but you know, I understand the mindset of saying, what's the worst thing that could happen? You know, oh, we'd have to replace this person. And I will be the first person to admit that no one is irreplaceable, but that doesn't mean that you don't want to retain good people who understand the systems. And if you've got people looking for jobs and ready to leave with 2 weeks notice, because we're not even close to what an average is for our area, then you're asking people to leave. And it's going to hurt the township. That's my personal opinion. And that's how I feel about number 4 and number 9 not getting more than the regular 3% that every union member that's been doing the same job for, you know, 20 years is getting, because they're still here another year.
so Molly, if taking your numbers then on, and so we haven't talked about 9 yet, but on number 4, you're proposing a 5% increase.
At a minimum. I mean, I'm not, I understand that we have we're not, you know, sure about the financial future. And I don't think we need to give the entire, you know, ball of wax away right now. But I think that there are retention standards that we aren't meeting if we want to keep some of the people who are very important to this township.
So Dave, you had said, I made a note here, you said on going to your recommended amount in 1 to 2 years. That's not what we're saying. We're saying to do it over, just to clarify, over 1 or 2 years, not in 2023 when you say like 2 years. That's not the idea. And also
I would like to correct myself because I misstated. I jumped a line. The average pay for this position is 85,000.
Which is the same as your recommended.
Yeah.
Okay. And then to go from the current number to that is an 18% increase in 1 year. And that just seems somewhat excessive to do all in 1 year.
I get it. I getting to the standard is maybe a shock. But I do believe we need to do something more than 3% on, and I would adhere with what Molly indicated. I don't know what the process has been historically on these. And I know that we need to be conservative, but as I indicated, department heads and the board have been able to show at least one position that was technologically eliminated. And the money saved in that is going to cover these raises. So it shouldn't be a shock to the budget overall. It's not going to be a shock to the fund balance overall. And I do appreciate that we have to be conservative, not knowing what COVID is going to bring us as we move into another 3 weeks of restrictions. And I guess Molly's number of 79 is that
Well,
at
it was
5%?
I think it's 76 or 77,
76.
but
76.
76. I'm just trying to keep notes. I apologize.
Okay. Okay, that duly noted. Can we go on to the next one you'd mentioned, Molly?
Yep, number 9.
do you want what I was gonna put?
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you can, please.
And some of the, if you can, some of the rationale without being too specific.
Well, again, I think it's important that we retain people, and I think some of the people that we've brought in the last, well, I've only been here for what, 5, 6 years, something. You know, starting at the lower end of a price point range for hiring them in, and then not doing anything to get them up to the higher point of the range faster or within, you know, merit based. It doesn't mean that, you know, if it's 10,000, if the range is 10,000 to 18 and you start them at 10, it doesn't mean they go to 18 the next year, but it doesn't mean they never get to 18, because then 5 years down the road, 18 isn't the high end of the range anymore. It's now 22 and they're still never going to get there. And I would rather see a minimum of 93 on number 9.
So, but that was the position, correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, we did not have comparables.
No, we did.
Okay, I did not recall them in the.
I would have given, you would have had, I believe there were 7 comparables without trying to find my notes real quick. 7 comparables there, averaged, obviously the average as listed on the updated form is 95.4. The comparables Southeast Michigan were 106 to 94. Multiple of those were individuals that were supervising 2 full-time employees regionally. So that number 9's position, if you looked at the 4 communities in close proximity, they were supervising 2 full-time employees, or they were one of 2 full-time employees, and they were making 94 to 98,000 a year. When we did a broader range, when we found closer comparables, they went as high as 106. And our comparables in this were Independence, Orion, Macomb Township, Chesterfield Township, and then I think 4 Novi and 4 other municipalities adjacent to Commerce Township. I think in the comparable list, there was only 1 person making lower than number 9.
So I'll give my half a cent worth. I did feel, and in my conversations with some of my colleagues before the meeting, that number 9 should have deserved, I believe, with performance more than 3%. I would agree with Molly in that ballpark of 6%. I think that comes to 93.4. But and while I don't necessarily completely, I'll say, agree on number 4, I am okay with that at that 76. So if we want to move this along, I can make a motion to approve what was proposed by the working group with those two modifications.
Support.
I have a question about another one though.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
Yeah, it's
there's
discussion.
I appreciate it, Bob, and just for clarity's sake, George, there were number 9's comparables were Walled Lake, Orion, Lyon, Wixom, Independence, and Brighton, and they ranged from 89 to 130.
Thanks for that, Dave.
Okay. Fortunately, I think that close by. I guess I would throw out just a discussion point on item number 3. Item number 3 is another one that, though I think the 2021 recommendation is very close. That's one of those that I don't know if we can indicate what you pay a unicorn. There are almost no comparables for discussion's sake, if there is any other topic. The 2021 is 78,000.
And we had a lot of discussion on that, Dave, and it is a 6% increase. So we again, we had a lot of discussion, recognize it's a unicorn. And as you and I had some discussion, we're trying to understand which side of the unicorn is more heavily weighted. But that was, we took that in recognition with what the average was. We understand that it's a difficult comparable, and that was one of the ones we had significant discussion on finding a comparable and a standard.
Right. Okay. I guess I'll, just for the sake of discussion, I'm going to throw 2 more out there that I think are deserving of more discussion. Item number 1 and number 6. Whoever would like to address either of these. Both of these, we are nowhere near the standard, and I think we have an obligation to address them to be as proactive as possible for the benefit of the township.
And
Missy?
a lot of
Missy, were
discussion.
these yours?
What's that?
What was that?
Missy, you said you had a couple. Are any of the ones Dave's pointing out yours?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, number 3 was. I was just wondering why the difference between 2 and 3.
It was, well, so let me.
Because I think 3 should be higher. So it's actually, I'm a little confused on that one, but.
So let's, if maybe we'll start with number 1 and then we'll go down to 2 and 3 if I could. Number 1, Dave, agree with you on that individual, and hence that was the highest increase percentage wise of any other employee in the township, and so that's where we took that recognition. And I don't know if Rick or Vanessa want to add anything to that, but no, we recognize the importance of the person. We recognize that, again, retain, reward, recognize, and try to motivate to continue this stellar performance.
I will share just on number 1. There is no more motivated individual in this family of employees in our municipality. There is no harder working individual, and I don't mean to embarrass or try to degrade anybody else on this list. And I would say number 1 is one of the number 1 reasons the guidance and the direction that this position takes is one of the things that's led us to be the safest community which the public will never glean or gather, but that worked. Go ahead, please, Molly.
And number one's increase is 6.8, but number six's is 13.8. So it's not the highest
Oh,
increase.
you're correct.
And I would only indicate that a recommendation for number one was 95,000. The average was 102. And I would much rather, knowing that if there are goals or there are desires, anybody that spent time in this building knows this person, you better hang on if you want to try and keep up. This is a person that I would say should be at 90,000 if you're not going to accept a recommendation.
So Dave, I agree with you and pretty much what you're saying.
Yeah.
Remember, we didn't have a lot of time to put all of this together. One of the things with some of the averages that when we do have more time to try to standardize many of these components is instead of picking for all these different the different department heads, is to use the exact same communities for all of them. So in some of your averages, you may have included independence in one and not independence in another. So what we need to do over time here, probably in the first couple months of the year, is come up with a standardized formula for where we use, what communities we use to determine averages. And like Vanessa said, one of the things we want to try to do is to come up with a range. But in the limited time that we had, we wanted to do something more than just give everyone the initial 3%.
Yeah.
So that's why we did what we did. And as far as number one, I agree. We each had some of our own individual components. I'll tell you one of the ones that was important to me is when they look at if that person wasn't here, what would happen with that department? How many people what influence do their decisions make in the overall township? Is it just related to a specific task, or does it impact other aspects of the quality of life within the township? These are some of the things that we want to be able to put together so that we can apply the same standards to all the different department heads.
I understand, but I'm going to tell you, as much as I'd like to see you succeed in this, you're going to find that if you use Independence Township, they subcontract out $200,000 work every year, and we're not going to find a comparable.
I understand. I mean, I understand they're not all communities the same, just like we don't have do our own assessing. I'm just saying that rather than just picking the highest ones there's criteria of population, taxable value, land area. I mean, there's a different criteria that the board needs to establish in determining which communities we want to use to go into the secret sauce to create the formula for our averages. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to single out independence.
No, I understand, but I guess on this, I would again, I would just indicate that we're way low. And I'm not afraid to say that we got a hell of a deal. All of us have bought that car that thought, this is going to be a good car. And we realized it's got a souped up engine and it's, the computer works. We got a good deal. And I applaud whoever was in the area to bring him on board or bring this person on board. But I'm startled when I look at the comparables and see how low we are. In the comparables, without using those names, but our person was at 84,000 and 123,000, 122,000, 112, 130 are communities that have people that aren't as good as our number one. So I'll acquiesce, but I'm telling you.
I don't think anyone disagrees with you, Dave. It's just, we're working on it. We'll get there. I just, the jump in 1 year during this time is hard to swallow.
But again, I'll say with our discerning eye where we've reduced costs, we've saved money, keep in mind, we've got all of the straight time pay for police and fire and senior services refunded to us from the CARES Act. So we have hundreds of $1,000s that have come back. If there is a time to come to the standard to equalize, now's the time. My
Well,
statement.
the issue with Dave, so on the police side, we have the SAD, so we're not using any general fund money. So there's no money coming in from that that's going to benefit this. And the same on the fire side, they're independent. We're not using our state share revenue funds for the most part. We're not, so I understand what you're saying. But so on the police side, it's not going to help us with the general fund.
Again, I guess if we move to item number 2 and 3, I don't understand. These people are not comparable.
So, and Missy, this is one where we understand that they're starting from the same spot, and we were trying to look at what was unique this year. And a lot of it, we went to, Dave put 2 great write-ups on both of these individuals. And we just were trying to make some level of differentiation based on that, and based on what maybe was unique this year for those 2 positions, meaning just in the COVID world with having to do more on the fly, including taking on some more responsibility at the Wixom Road properties. So that was, I think we're open to discussion on those.
I guess I would say when you look at the additional work that's gone on.
So I was asking Missy for some of her feedback on that.
Well, again, I like I said before, I don't understand why there's that small little difference. While I think they both did a tremendous job this year, I don't understand the little bit of a difference in increase. I don't know. I guess if I have to question anything, it's that small difference.
So maybe what we need to do, maybe if there's too many discrepancies and not enough agreement, we don't have to approve this tonight. Maybe what we need to do is have another meeting, a working meeting with the whole, either committee or the whole board, where everyone has access to all the information that that the 3 of us looked at. So everyone can have it in front of them, and then we just have like a special meeting where we can go through one by one. It'll be an open meeting, so it'll have to be done publicly if we want to go that route. One of the ideas behind the subcommittee is that some of the individual personnel file information is not revealed, but if it's something where people aren't agreeing with the work we did, I'm open to having another, like in a week or 2 weeks from now, having a special meeting where we can just deal with this, the individual personnel numbers, and just the budget doesn't have to be approved tonight.
Well, I guess and again, I'm not trying to dissuade anybody. I'm just saying that I really think that if you use number 2, certainly we can say that person has taken on additional duties and they've had to amend their daily schedule and activities because of COVID. Number 3 has exponentially increased in work activity, taking on special projects that were created only because of COVID, and interaction with the county, and exponentially increased activity where one may go to a 3 or 4 day a week limited exposure activity. Number 3 went to a 5 day a week Zoom meeting, COVID interaction, record compilation and calculation. Number 3's activity exponentially more than probably anybody else on that list because of COVID. The average for that individual, number 3, was 90. The 6% raise put it at 78, and the recommendation was 90. And I find it, I'll only share, I find it surprising because the recommendation, I didn't average anything up to come up with a recommendation. That just kind of happened. So I
think
would
Molly's got her hand raised.
go ahead, Molly.
Couple of things. First off, to the group of people that, Rick, Vanessa, and George that worked on this, I am so glad I wasn't part of that committee, because it's a very fine line to walk between managing your budget and keeping good people. And I get it. I've been there before, and I understand that it's a long road that has never been traveled by Commerce Township very well. And you guys are working to make it more meaningful than just everybody gets 3% across the board. And I understand that, and I appreciate what you've done with everything you had to work with. But one of the issues I have with some of these that, in my personal opinion, are low, which would be, I agree with 1, 4, and 9 are low. You're looking at a piece of paper and a review that was done that nobody's ever worked with before, and you're not getting direct input from the other people who work with these people every day and what they've done and what they've accomplished in the last year. It was, I didn't get to chime in on anybody, and I work with these people daily, and so I think it's a little bit of tunnel vision, because the information that you guys had to work with wasn't necessarily a full-blown picture of everything that goes on. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, so then I'll make a motion then that we table this item, and then we will make sure that everyone has the copies of all the information that we had, so everyone can look at it in advance. And then we'll schedule another meeting so that we can go through and do this, and we can discuss it, each person one at a time with all 7 of us, and then come up with a consensus.
So Rick, is there a way, and this was a little bit in a note Dave had sent earlier, there could be a process where we meet in groups of 3, and it's a different 3, but it can be a rotating 3, so that we're looking at the documentation at township, and so we're not making copies that are leaving the township, because I think that's important. But then we get the opportunity to have the discerning conversations with specifically with Molly and Missy, who are working day to day with some of these people and providing some insights, good and bad, that maybe we don't have.
Right, and it just gives us an opportunity to share some of our comments and our findings too. So let me ask Phil and Hans if one of you can chime in. I know if we meet in multiple groups, we still have limited ability. We can't make a decision outside of a public meeting. Where do we draw the line to be able to try to accomplish this and still try to keep some of this information so it's not all public, not information?
My opinion is you're running dangerously close with what you just suggested. The Open Meetings Act provides you can't deliberate toward a decision. It also has specifically contemplated where you can't use people to go as a go-between between different groups to discuss various issues. That sounds kind of like what you're sort of headed towards doing or getting close to that. So I would be very cautious in the approaches you take in that regards. I guess I think you're pushing it.
So you're saying we need to either continue with a 3-person, up to a 3-people committee, or the full 7-member board?
That is your best route, yes.
So
or we could have, so let me ask a question, Hans. So we had a subcommittee to do round 1 of this, and there's new information that's come to light. So could we just not, rather than not having a round robin event, but have a one additional subcommittee, one that would include Missy, Molly, and possibly Rick to then bring a revised recommendation to the board.
You're closer. I think that the only caveat would be is that one could argue that Rick's comments in regards to you and Vanessa in the process is then just sort of sharing the thoughts and deliberatory actions with this new group. And that's the lynch between the two and the carry on. What you could do, I think, and is have a totally separate group.
Well, okay.
This is the tough part about this, right? I mean, there's not a great solution to this answer, and this is something that's always been difficult for the township board to address.
So if I were to meet with another group, that means, am I correct, Hans? And I cannot then reconvene with Vanessa and George and relay that information. I've crossed that. We crossed the line if we do that.
Yes, I would also say though that just by, I mean, one could argue that just by meeting, you would be taking the positions of Vanessa and George and then sharing that with Missy.
That's bringing a fourth and fifth person in.
Yeah, exactly. And so now you've got a total of 5 people.
Okay, so we're either going to have to stick with a 3-person group that we already have established for this point, or the full 7.
Or start with do another 3-person group that can at least talk about it themselves. New 3-person group. I don't know if
but
that
then we still have to convene with all 7 of us to bring the information together. The 2 groups can't meet together.
Correct.
So either way, we're going to end up with a full 7.
I would suggest for the sake of discussion that you advance to a special meeting where all 7 board members go through this list. And you don't want to be embarrassed, but the reality is we have to stand up and be responsible to the community and to the employees, make our statements, let them be known, and live with the decision. For the sake of discussion.
Right, because we do it that way, it could be for an interesting meeting, but then you could, instead of doing all 18 people on in one motion, you can do 18 separate motions. And then you agree till you get to consensus, get 4 votes on each person individually, what amount.
Yeah.
But it's all public record. It's going to be all out there on YouTube and everything.
It is.
So listening to all that, are we really that far? So let me ask, Missy, what would your recommendation be on number 3 and 2?
Just make them even. It's just such a small amount. It seems silly to be different at
The
this point.
78.5, is that what you're saying? 78.5?
Yeah.
So let me go back. So if I start at number, just the way I've got them written down here. So number 9 would move to 93,400.
93,000.
Yes. Number 8 and 7, no change. We haven't discussed number 6. So let me skip that. There was no discussion on number 5. Number 4 moved to 76. 2 and 3, 78.5. And number 1, 90.
What did you put down for number 6?
We haven't
We
talked
haven't
6
talked.
yet.
We haven't discussed that one.
Oh, okay.
I would say you're getting closer, George, to
Well, it's
discernibles.
but not trying to get close, trying to get to something that we can have
Agree with.
consensus upon.
I can live with those numbers that you just put out.
I think
So can I. So can I.
The definition of consensus is you might not get what you want, but you can live with it.
Then let's add in number 6 and close this topic, and then we'll move on to Senator Runstead to squeeze them in before B and C.
And I can live with number 6.
At what?
What number?
Where are you?
What,
Number 6, just for the sake of discussion for clarity across the board, our recommendation was 95. The average was 92.7. And the subcommittee recommendation was 82. I would suggest that you need to be at 84 or higher. And I think if you did 85, as you move forward as your goal in the next 6 months, things can change and things can amend. This individual has brought nothing but good to the position, nothing but good to the Charter Township of Commerce. There's no one that's going to say that's wrong. And we're all in agreement. So I would say if you did 85, you're successful.
I would disagree with that one.
Okay.
At that number.
84, 500?
No. I'm good with your recommendation. Or
I'm good
split
with the
it between,
recommendation
or
too.
split it.
It's a new person. We're already giving a $10,000 raise. I think
I agree.
that's enough.
And I would argue that
I know.
that person fell into this isn't going to be a rush job.
Okay.
This is an individual who has brought extreme value to the position, brought extreme value as a supervisor to the staff. And I don't think it's fair to hold this person back because they filled a gap by a substandard employee with issues. That person stepped up, filled a void, has done an exponentially off the chart job, brought substantial value. And I would say 85 is where we should be. And I obviously that's my position. Bob is at a different position. Vanessa's at a different position. Is there anyone else that would disagree with
I
me?
guess I'll expand on it, Dave.
Yeah.
And when interviews were done, salary was posted, was asked if that was okay. Salary was accepted. We've done raises. I think the raise is good. I don't disagree with the work and everything that you've done or that you said. So that's why I think it needs to stay there. I mean, if you're making a move out of the job and the salary isn't good, then you need to say that in the interview. And no one has said that in an interview. So anyway, my thought. Thank you.
Okay, well, let's go on to the next one.
Well, I think we're in a consensus with everyone except for 6. I think the board is in a position where with the amendments of number 1 going to 90, the equalization of 2 and 3, number 4 going to 76, and number 9 going to 93. The only one that's left that the board cannot agree on would be number 6. If we can come up with a number we agree on in number 6, then you've got it, your non-union approval.
Missy, what's your view?
Honestly, I know it's a slightly big increase. I'm okay going a little higher than what you guys recommended, but not as high as Dave's saying. Somewhere in between. I'm okay with what you suggested, but a little higher would be nice.
Like
About
84?
And I agree with what Bob said, but again, you have to take into consideration what we've seen in the amount of time that.
And that's the reason why I said some of these will probably need to happen over a 1-2 year period of time.
I know.
Especially, a newer person, it's harder.
I guess just certain circumstances under this one, I guess, maybe I'm having a hard time swallowing, but.
83, where we have.
83 is
Many
good.
no's.
Molly, could you support 83?
Yeah. My toss out was 84, but I also don't want to be here until 1 o'clock in the morning. So.
Bob, could you live with 83?
I'm good with the 82.
Vanessa?
You've got your 4 votes. Just go.
You do.
Okay, so let me reiterate for
Just go down the list. Let's make sure you have the right numbers.
so 90. I'm going to go just in order for the
Number 1 is 90.
One is 90.
1 is 90, 2 78.5, 3 78.5, 4 76, 5 67 091, 6 83, 9 93 4.
I have just 93.
93,000 even, George.
93 even.
And no change to 6, 7, or 8. No, I'm sorry, no change to 7 or 8.
And
Or
Correct.
below, all the way down.
Below.
not to put pressure on Mr. Solo, if you can amend your motion and then someone might second it using.
Well,
those-
we never had support on my table, so I don't have to.
Well, but I had put a motion in that was accepted, so I'll amend my motion to what George said.
All right, Mr. Burkeiser, supported by
Can't
Weber.
remember.
Weber. Roll call vote.
Burkeiser,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Creech, aye. Phillips,
Aye.
Magner,
Aye.
Sobel,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye. Motion carries. With that, if we could deviate and squeeze in Senator Jim Runstead. I know he's been jumping from township to township for meetings. If you could unmute Mr. Runstead. And the senator contacted Clerk Creech to jump in. Welcome, Senator Runstead. It's a pleasure to have you here in the Charter Township of Commerce. The floor is yours.
Hey, Jim, how do we do compared to Lansing?
You had great debate and lots of logic and reason, and it looks sterling. I've just got off of White Lakes, and then before that, so it's been the night of the Zoom for me. But it's always interesting to see the different debates and how everyone does. But yeah, I really enjoyed hearing all the debating on the salaries and what you think is fair, and it was really compelling stuff. And really want to take this opportunity to thank David for all of the years he has put in as the supervisor, and is now leaving the post. And I have a proclamation for David that I'm going to be reading, and this is the proclamation. Normally we'd be seeing that in person, but because of the COVID, we're not able to do that. But I remember just over the years, the stories David telling me of his years with the Sheriff's Department, and then him capturing the vandals who were making hay with the park, and he used a deer camera or something to get a video of the. But I just thought clever, and hopefully other supervisors will utilize that same kind of crime fighting techniques in different parts of the district. And with that, the proclamation that I'm going to read has a signature by myself, Jim Runstead, State Senator, Ryan Berman, State Representative, Garland Gilchrist, who's the Lieutenant Governor, and Gretchen Whitmer, who is the Governor. And with that, it reads, "Let it be known that it is with great pleasure to extend this legislative tribute to an expression of our thanks and best wishes to David Scott on the occasion of his retirement. This tribute recognizes the professionalism and commitment to excellence that he has exhibited throughout his career, and the lasting positive impact that he has had among the people and the community of Commerce. After many years of active involvement in the Commerce Township community, David Scott decided to run for office in 2016 and made numerous achievements during his tenure as supervisor. He greatly improved public safety by expanding the roster of firefighters, guaranteeing at least 2 full firefighters in each of the township's fire stations. Also replaced 4 updated fire engines, brought in a rescue boat, and added an ambulance to the fleet, thereby improving EMS's service and response times to every corner of the community. He also led the effort to managing the design, construction, and operation of the Michigan Airline Trail that has proven to be a tremendous asset for the constituents. David's collaboration with Scarlet Smile Foundation on construction of the Scarlet Smile Playground, an 18,000 square foot barrier-free playground in Dodge Park, where children of the ability to get together. Thanks to David's efforts, Commerce Township was recognized as SafeWise as one of Michigan's safest cities in 2020. And I just want to comment that my grandchildren are over at that Scarlet Smiles Park every chance they can get. Before serving as supervisor, David also served as an Oakland County Sheriff's Deputy for 28 years, and he worked abroad in an international police advisory capacity in Iraq from 2008 and 2009. David's happily married to his wife, and they've raised 3 children, Megan, Courtney, and Marshall. They have been blessed with 4 grandchildren, and David looks forward to spending more time with his family during his retirement. David was an outstanding public servant, and his acknowledgement and this acknowledgement and of his tremendous work ethic and his position, Oakland County Township for future success. So in special tribute, therefore, this document is signed and dedicated to honor David Scott, Supervisor of Commerce Township, as he celebrates of our admiration and warmest wishes for continued success in every endeavor. Congratulations, David.
Senator, thank you very much. I am just so honored to serve Commerce Township. And I will tell you undoubtedly, whether it was my idea, my craziness, a vision, or seizing a moment like it did with the Clark family to move forward on Scarlet Smile Playground, it could not have happened without everybody on this TV screen here, with the other 6 electeds supporting, sometimes begrudgingly and sometimes with great enthusiasm. This all took place not because of one, but because of many. And I'd like to thank you and your peers in Lansing for the support you've given us, whether it's been the influence to the DNR Trust Fund, whether it's been to acquire a sliver of land to finish off Dodge 5 that was property that had to be squared off. I'm eager for you to embrace a couple of lame duck bills that would get us the Union Lake boat launch deeded over to us so that we can retain that parcel of property as a pocket park, before the end of the term, because you're going to have some people leaving. Thankfully, you're still there on guard, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us. And I'm honored to display that to friends, family, and people here in the township. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We'll pick a time for me to get this view, and I'll continue to advocate for Commerce Township. So if anyone listening to my voice here has any questions, problems, concerns, please don't hesitate to contact the office.
Thank you, and thank Linda, your emissary, who's always here when you're trying to be in 12 places at one time. She does a fantastic job.
But she's hearing you because she's on as well. So thank you so much for everything.
All right. Thank you all. Take care, Jim. I appreciate it greatly.
Thank you.
All right. We'll move moving to item 5B, which is the 2021 elected official pay rate.
So on 5 through 10, there was no change.
Right.
So I'm going to just, for discussion, since we've increased some of the other numbers, I'm going to just put out their suggestion to change number 2 to 94,000.
Where are you at? I'm sorry.
And B, the elected and boards.
But what sheet are you looking at? The one George sent out?
Yes.
That's the only one we have.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry.
Page 1.
Okay.
So it goes 1 through 10, no change to 5 through 10. I'm personally just suggesting to increase number 2 to 94,000 because of what we just did on the department heads.
I'm not sure I agree. I guess your concept is that you don't think elected officials should be less than some department heads?
Correct.
The
I don't know that I agree with that. The most response to me, the most elected, especially the 3 full-time officials, have the most responsibility in the township.
They have a lot of responsibility, agreed. I don't know that I would go as far as to say the most. To me, their job is leadership, picking the right people and let those people do their job. So because you've got that in the township wholeheartedly, I understand what you're saying. I guess we'll just say I disagree.
I mean, like, so not to embarrass anyone, but sorry, Missy. I mean, the election.
My face couldn't get any redder.
It's a different. I mean, I agree. This was by that same concept. Then you're saying every clerk in the entire country should all of a sudden get a huge raise because we had an unusual, hopefully unusual, probably be the same from now on. Who knows? But so and I'm not what I'm please saying, don't Bob. Take that as okay.
That's not. If you look at the different around in Oakland County, based on our size, how fast and the accuracy of the election Missy did is an absolutely amazing job. Look at West Bloomfield didn't come up with their results for like 12 hours after Missy had finished ours. So, and to me, that's the job she does. She had 2 county boards. She did a lot of things in anticipation of what was going on. So she went way over and above, and elections is a big part of it, but that's over and above. I mean, just as a regular job. Same thing with, with Molly collecting the taxes. Look how many houses we have, the tax bills and everything. Then you send them out. You have all the special assessment districts. We have probably more special assessment districts than most other communities have. So they both do an awesome job. And
I'm
that's
not saying that.
The leadership.
I don't disagree with that.
Plus they have to deal with the 4 of us on a couple
the
times
only place
a month.
that's very true.
Right there.
I disagree with the I'll say concept that you think that paid officials or elected officials have to be the highest paid in the whatever you want to call it. It's in our case township, but in any governmental organization. And I disagree with that. That's what I disagree with.
Okay, I appreciate that, Bob. I again, your the discerning eye and the scrutiny. I just know that when I shared to Mr. Sobel the rates of pay for everybody in these categories, we're not going to be the highest. We're not going to be the lowest, and I would support the 94.
But we also know where it is.
I will also say, Dave, I don't agree with. I appreciate your input that the supervisor, clerk, and treasurer shall make the exact same.
I will always adhere to that they should, but we do different jobs, and I don't mean to embarrass. I will tell you that I'll go big. The 6 electeds outside of my position do not know what I do. I do believe the multitude of you appreciate all that I do, but you could not name the boards and commissions that I sit on, which is sad. We should have more clarity, so you should know, what goes on at SEMCOG, let alone what goes on in Lansing for the Regional Transit Authority. But the reality is the treasurer, as the elected, participates, and I think she is an elected official within the group of treasurers in Oakland County or Southeast Michigan. Our clerk also and deputy clerk participate in a subgroup of clerks of Oakland County, if not Southeast Michigan, as I participate with supervisors, the 20 other supervisors in Oakland County, as well as the West Oakland Cable Commission Authority, the Michigan Airline Trail, SEMCOG, in the Library Advisory Board.
And Dave, I would say that you and all elected officials know what the salary is prior to running for the position. And also know what the responsibilities are associated with the positions. So
I would disagree. I would say I had no idea what it paid. And I also had no idea how many boards and commissions or panels I had to sit on. I just knew I was willing to do whatever it took to fill those seats, including the Downtown Development Authority. But with that, I mean, I understand Bob disagrees. Rick says 94. I agree with 94. If there's two more people that want to agree with 94, then we can close out that category as well.
I struggle with the rationale that says that there can be no other positions in the township higher than one of the elected officials. I don't, and we've had this discussion before, although I don't think we've ever come to a consensus, but it's been a discussion in the past.
And I would not, to be clear, I believe we have to invest in our subject matter experts, and there should be many people possibly that make more than the electeds. I would indicate, as you all know, I believe the 3 full-time electeds should be the same pay. In this case, I believe 94,000 is an appropriate number for the 36,000 registered voters that the clerk's office supports in an election setting, or the 15,000 parcels and $69 million that the clerk's office or the treasurer's office collects annually. So I'm
a little short on those numbers, Dave.
Yeah.
Hey, George, maybe when we end up with ranges for the department heads, management team, maybe it will not be so headstrong on my current position. Or maybe till we get those numbers, it's just harder for me to have that feeling.
Yeah.
But I will be open-minded. How's that?
So then how about 93? So it's consistent anyway.
That's a question to you, Mr. Solville.
I would accept that as a compromise.
Any other discussion, questions, or concern regarding topics 1 through 10? I think we're all.
Let's just so we're for number 4, number 3 and 4, we are leaving those at 70,753. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Molly?
No, I would say no, because you have a board policy that says it's at 77%.
No, the board, it's not to exceed, not to exceed.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Those numbers were originally calculated 77% of the amount. That's why I'm asking, are we leaving those at the 70,753, even though we're increasing number 2 to $93,001?
I would support leaving them the same at this time, and then the board can decide 6 months to a year from now if they want to memorialize a different policy. But I think going with the not to exceed 77% is more than adequate to hold on to for now. But
That's
keeping
fine.
70,753.
Okay. I would support that then.
Okay.
So we will strike this, the wording after the number. So we'll strike the 77%, eliminate that percentage, the wording on that.
Correct.
All right, then I'll make a motion for the proposed 2021 compensation budget for the elected officials and boards as listed, with the exception of number 2 is changed to $93,000.
Do you have to
Do we
list
have to do
each
them
one with,
individually?
yeah, I think you have to do them individually.
Yeah, thank you.
Individual, okay. So the supervisor is $97,451. The clerk is $93,000.
Individually and individually vote, I thought. Is that correct?
Hans,
Phil, do we need
I
individual
think we need a
vote?
motion on each one.
Go ahead,
Dave
Phil.
is correct. You need vote. You should vote on each one because they're taken individually.
Okay. All right, make a motion for the 2021 salary for the supervisor to be $97,451.
Support.
Sobel, Weber,
Aye.
any discussion, question, concern? Roll call vote.
Sobel,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Burkheiser,
Aye.
Magner,
Aye.
Creech, aye. Phillips,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye. Mr. Sobel, the clerk position?
Motion approved.
That is motion approved, yes.
Clerk, $93,000 even.
Support. Motion by Sobel, supported by Scott. Discussion, question, concern? Roll call vote.
Sobel,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Creech, aye. Phillips,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Burkheiser,
Aye. Begrudgingly.
Magner,
Aye.
Motion carries. Treasurer?
Motion for the 2021 salary for the treasurer to be $93,000 even.
Support. Discussion, question, concern? Roll call vote.
Sobel,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Creech, aye. Phillips,
Aye.
Burkheiser,
Aye.
Magner,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Do we have to individually approve the two deputies?
No.
The deputy clerk and deputy treasurer, $70,753. Well, hold on, let me do it. Let me do the township board. The township board of trustees,
Thank you.
$250 per meeting.
Support. Motion by Sobel, supported by Scott. Discussion, question, or concern for the township board? Roll call vote, please.
Sobel,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Magner,
Aye.
Burkheiser,
Aye.
Creech, aye. Weber,
Aye.
Phillips,
Aye.
Motion
So-
carries.
So I'll make a motion then for the deputy clerk, for the 2021 compensation, deputy clerk, $67,408, I'm sorry,
No.
$70,753. Deputy treasurer, $70,753. Planning commission, $85 per meeting. Zoning board of appeals, $85 per meeting. Parks and recreation, $85 per meeting. Library board, $75 per meeting. And board of review, $125 per meeting.
Support,
Comment
please.
is just looking at boards and commissions, was there some thought as to why library was, I mean, they meet once a month, they do, is there something different that made you decide to leave that at 75, or I'm just more
There
of
was-
a question?
There was no change to any of these figures, Bob. Those were all as they have been. Actually, those are include the increase that was put in place last year.
Okay. So then I'll
I'm-
modify that to say, is there a
85.
reason with they putting in the same amount of effort as the rest that it wouldn't be at 85?
I'm fine with making it 85. It does seem kind of odd that that one's standing out.
I agree. I would support
agree.
the change in the motion.
So I'll amend my motion for the library board to be $85. Everything else is
Support.
the same.
And roll call vote. Motion by Sobel, supported by Scott.
yep, got it. Sobel,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Phillips,
Aye.
Creech, aye. Burkheiser,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Magner,
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 5, item C, approval of the budget for 2021.
Approve the budget, the 2020 budget with all the compensation that we just went through.
Support.
Motion by Sobel, supported by Burkheiser. Any discussion, question, concern, or does anybody want to point out anything in particular that would have been thought to be a placeholder that we have not already covered this evening that we need to address?
I just want to make one comment that Janet's going to have to redo this. This is not because of the amounts we changed.
Right.
So we will need a new final copy.
Right.
The only thing that I would like to mention, and I know I kind of brought this up before, so we have done our accounting this year, in particular in the DDA, the way that it ends up being presented in the financial statements, which shows a reduction of debt when we pay down a debt service, and it doesn't show any revenue coming in from the township. Now, I have had an email into Plant Moran for more than a week asking them, because basically what we used to do is we would show revenue as a township advance, and then we'd show all of the debt principal as an expenditure. And then we do that for budgeting purposes, and then we have to make an entry at the end of the year to move those two lines back up into the balance sheet. I don't know if we have to budget for it like that and then move it. And I have not gotten a response, but that would be the only change, would be to move those items out of the balance sheet and put them down below. It doesn't change the bottom line for the DDA. That make sense?
It does make sense, and it makes sense, but it seems illogical what they're asking you to do, in my opinion.
Right. So I just want to make sure that we don't have to have 100% of the cash in and 100% of the cash out in the revenue and expenditure side, and we can reflect those things just as cash in and cash out and loan in and loans out. But I don't have clarification on that yet. But like I said, it doesn't change the bottom line. It just changes, it bumps up both sides of the revenue and the expense.
Okay. With that, it would be a motion by Sobel, supported by Burkheiser, to approve the 2021 budget, which Mrs. Bushy will prepare a final document to so note all changes. Any other discussion, questions, or concern? Roll call vote.
Sobel.
Hey.
Burkheiser.
Got a thumbs up, but you were muted, Bob.
Aye.
Thank you.
Magner.
Aye.
Creech. Aye. Phillips.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you all for your due diligence and hard work and discerning eyes. And I can't say it enough, but it is impressive to see a number of people who can truly analyze these things and really pick it apart. I know that we put some of our department heads kind of on the head of the needle and really gouge them out, but it works out in the long run, and you should be very proud of the work that you do. Moving on to
Congratulations on passing your budget, Dave.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm glad to leave you in a good spot to carry forward and continue on into 2021, which you will do and always have done. Item number 6, introductions. A, an ordinance to amend ordinance number 2.019 to be known as fee ordinance number 2.020.
The reason for this amendment is twofold. The main purpose is the cemetery sexton has adjusted their fee schedule for the communities that he services. Those changes are reflected in this amended fee ordinance. In addition, we had been sitting on an amendment to the fee ordinance so as not to do little bits at a time, which is to increase the special board meeting from $750 to $1,000 in costs. Those are the changes. These changes will take effect December 1st, which is when the sexton's contracts takes effect as well.
And I did, just for the information for the board, I did a review of all of our surrounding communities, and all of their burial fees are exactly as being proposed for us. So it's completely consistent with those near us.
Is he doing them all?
He does.
No, The sexton does some of the neighboring communities, but not all of them.
Okay. Well, okay.
I believe it's Milford and Highland, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
So I think I looked at Milford, Highland, White Lake, and Lyon Township, I believe. And I was surprised that they were all virtually identical.
No, thank you very much for that analysis.
I'll make a motion to amend ordinance number 2.019 to be known as fee ordinance 2.020.
Support.
Thank you, Trustee Magner. Motion by Magner, supported by Burkheiser. Questions, concern, discussion? Roll call vote.
Magner,
Aye.
Burkheiser,
Aye.
Creech, aye. Weber,
Aye.
Phillips,
Aye.
Sobel,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye. Motion carries. B as in boy for item number 6, an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances to be known as Code Amendment Ordinance Number 1.050, International Property Maintenance Code.
Township has traditionally adopted the International Property Maintenance Code by reference, which it is allowed to do. And every few years, the Property Maintenance Code gets updated. The new version for 2021 just came out. We do have some special provisions which we'd like to add, as well as some blanks that need to be filled in. That is what you see tonight. There are no substantive changes from what is currently the situation.
What are the blanks?
Blanks are identifying which boards, how much you charge, what your penalties are, civil infractions as opposed to fees, things of that nature. They are the same as what we had before in the 2018 version.
Make a motion to approve, to amend the Code of Ordinances to be known as Code Amendment Ordinance Number 1.050, International Property Maintenance Code.
Support.
I saw Sobel, I heard 2. So motion by Burkheiser, supported by Sobel. Questions, concern, discussion? A roll call vote, please.
Burkheiser,
Aye.
Sobel,
Aye.
Creech, aye. Phillips,
Aye.
Magner,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 7 is purchases. A, library end panel signage. This came from the Library Advisory Board. Director Allison Lobert is with us this evening. Just kind of if you will, the wayfinding signage from end cap to end cap to get us through the library. Please, Allison, give us the specifics.
So I have 2 requests today. One is for the 28 acrylic end panel signs at a cost of $2,391. In addition to the 2 board book shelving units, the cost of those together is $7,554. I obtained the quote from Library Design Associates because they were the firm that designed the interior of the building initially. So that was intentional. That was so that the acrylic end panel signs match what was currently in the building, and so that the book shelving units match the furniture in the youth room.
So Allison, can I ask, I have that information, but I don't have any shelving $7,000 thing. Am I just the only one missing it, or did everybody?
I don't have it either.
I don't have it either.
If we could amend to include that.
Well,
so tell us what again is this, Allison?
Yeah.
That was it was end panel signage. It was all in the same PDF.
Well, I only have one price, the total being $2,400. So
Yeah,
I don't have something that's $7,000.
We don't have it in our packet, so can you tell us what it is?
Yeah, this is a very ugly picture of it. I would have printed a color copy for you guys had I known. It's wooden shelving for board books. So there are two board book shelving units. So board books are these funny sized ones with the really thick cardboard pages. The littlest readers use them sometimes as teething implements, but also also for reading. So the shelving that we have right now isn't big enough for our collection. But it is a really popular collection. Parents will grab a pretty big handful of them every time that they come. So the Peak is the name of the line that from this company. They will be yellow. They'll match this. So they'll be that color with that that sunshine in it. So it just matches what's currently in the youth room.
How many books does that hold, Allison?
You know what? I don't have that off the top of my head. They are.
I'm just wondering, 7,000. You said $7,000.
Right.
Just seemed like a lot for a bookshelf.
Yeah. So they're They're 48 inches wide and 33 inches deep, 45 inches high. So.
Is that a normal price? Do you find that to be a?
I think it's probably on the more expensive side of normal. I mean, it matches the interior of what, is already done.
Right.
I think that the furniture that we already have in the room is going to be the furniture in the room for the next 20 or 25 years. So it probably just makes sense to, instead of piecing together a solution and kind of having to rethink a solution every 4 or 5 years, to just invest in, something that's going to last and is going to hold this collection well. The board books are kind of a funny thing because they're sort of short and fat, so they're not great on regular shelving because they get in too deep, and they are intended for the littlest kids, so you don't want them kind of pushed super far back.
So Allison, what was that number again? Just trying to get it exact.
7,554 for the 2 shelving units.
Allison, I apologize. I did have your email and I saw it was on the agenda. So I guess I didn't forward it to Christine to put in the agenda packet. And I thought I did. I apologize.
Maybe you were kind of busy.
Well, this was last week, so I should have gotten it in there. I apologize.
Okay, so
if I knew how to share my screen, I would do it right now, but I don't. So
I'll make a motion to approve end panel signage and the specific shelving identified not to exceed $10,000. The total comes out $9,945.
George, I think it ends up being a little bit more than 10,000.
Did I do the math wrong?
7,500 and 2,400.
So if you did 10,500, you would be okay.
You're okay at 10, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
Not to exceed 10.5 in case there's tax or something on it.
There shouldn't be any tax for us.
I know. So before we have a roll call vote on this, can I ask a question? So we go through budget in great detail. We have people that are directors that are managing. Do our directors have no financial authority? Meaning up to $5,000, up to whatever a reasonable amount is, that they can make a decision without having to come to the board?
We do have a policy. Is it $1,500?
Yeah, it's much lower than what this is. Yeah.
Because I had the same thought. I'm like, gosh, $2,300 is a really small purchase. But I couldn't remember what the policy was. Maybe that's something we can look at early next year.
The township does have a purchasing policy, and I think the last time we talked about, there was another comment that it should be updated. But yes, we can brush that off.
I know Missy just reached backwards into the Commerce Township Bridge that crosses the room behind her. And she pulled out the purchase policy. I too would concur to George's statement that certainly once a budget is done, we don't restrict the department heads from going forward and executing that budget, making purchases and doing those things. But the reality is some of these things we need to amend, to show that we trust our directors to make these purchases and they are appropriate and the whole
It's
shot.
You know,
budgeted for.
my only comment is the board ultimately has fiscal responsibility for everything in the township. And I'm not saying we need to approve a $5, cheeseburger, but I mean, I have no trouble reviewing it. Certainly if it's something that's an emergency or, you had authority to do things during COVID, but I don't know. I don't have issues with waiting a month for library end panel signs or whatever. So,
Bob, I would say we approve the orders, which are of much greater magnitude than this.
those are routine things that are paid, though. Those are like
Well,
monthly
no, I would
costs.
just, they are not routine. Many of them are, but anyway, let's finish the roll call vote on this, and we can have this as a separate discussion topic.
Motion by Weber, supported by Scott. Roll call vote, please.
Weber,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Sobel,
Aye.
Magner,
Aye.
Burkheiser,
Aye.
Phillips,
Aye.
Creech, aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 8, old business. A, ordinance officer. Jay James and I received code enforcement job descriptions from a variety of communities, as well as the old one that was on file with Commerce Township from long ago. We put together what we believe would be an appropriate job description for you all to review. Included same, and would ask for your approval to enact such a full-time ordinance officer position.
So Dave, I've got a couple of questions.
Sure.
So the way this is written, and first I think I think the way it is written is outstanding. I think it's very clear. Question I have is, what are the pros and cons of this being a township employee versus a Kerr Engineering employee?
Boy, I think the issue was Kerr Engineering adopted this activity as a volunteer. That's not something they really wanted to do, and recent changes that we've got to where they don't want to. Obviously, the brass tacks are legacy costs for the future or tenure of this position are the cons. Pros are, this is something that we can initiate and be proactive and not reactive, where, in a perfect world, in a township, 36 sections to our township. Obviously, we don't have that with Wixom, Wolverine Lake, and Walled Lake cutting out of the pie, but essentially on the first of every month, the code enforcement officer would review cases and section 1. On the second of the month, you go out and you review section 2. So we get a format, and if I find a violation in section 1, I send out the warning letter, I send out the notices, or I issue a violation, and then they may have 30 days in which to remediate the problem. Or if it's a lawn mowing incident, 10 days to come back to inspect. The pros, we initiate this activity and deal with something that we have 3 Kerr Engineering people getting 5 hours of work every day of calls, complaints, and things of that nature. So we upgrade is the pro. This is not a money-making endeavor. This is a fund balance drainer. We're going to be spending money. It's a con. But being reactive to the community is a pro.
I don't think we'd want somebody enforcing our ordinances that wasn't a township employee.
Well,
I think that's a positive.
Let me interject here for a second.
Yeah.
It has to be a township employee. Jay James has a miniature contract with the township as an employee to cover this because it has to be part of his job. He has 2 contracts. He has a contract as Kerr Engineering, and then he has a part-time employment contract with the township as the ordinance enforcement officer. So it does, as an employee. So it does have to be a township employee position, whether it's a part-time or full-time is up to you.
So on this, I'm under the impression all we're doing right now is approving the job description. We're not necessarily approving to hire somebody.
Well, I guess you're approving a job description, and then you're going to have to, I also would hope that you would say either we're going to post for applicants, not hire a specific person.
So I think there's a lot. So I have more questions then. So there, right now we are, and maybe Hans answered this question. So we are paying current engineering X number of dollars annually to perform this function.
It's a payment on performance. So if it's not getting done, he's not getting any money. As it's not getting done today, we're not spending any money.
Gotcha. Okay. The other is I do not have a feel for whether this, at least starting out, should be a full-time or part-time. It's right now it's being done obviously on a part-time basis. And I'm sure we're not doing as much as we would like to, but that to me seems logical, would be starting part-time. But I also don't, the one thing we don't have any information on is cost.
If we extrapolate what we pay Kerr Engineering, I believe we can go substantially less. We're paying Kerr Engineering for the management of the employee, the monitoring, the records, the creation of documents, everything of that nature. I believe it's $36 an hour. He then pays an employee something less than that. My recommendation is we would be looking to pay $25 an hour to a code enforcement officer to perform these tasks. My only question is, if it's a full-time position, I would say you're looking at the 37.5 hours a week, but I would also hope that the board would give that position the latitude to work that time period to address complaints. There are going to be days where we need to have that person come in on a Friday night or a Saturday to address signage that doesn't exist Monday through Thursday. There are going to be contacts where the average person, you don't want a code enforcement officer going to someone's house at 7:15 in the morning, when just because the township opens at 7:15 in the morning. So there may be a business hour, professional conduct, and flexibility to the hours of operation. If it's seasonally, if it's a sign collection and cleanup of the streets that the code enforcement officer would do, it may be safer and easier for him to do it at 5 in the morning or at 9 at night.
So Dave,
things
I
like
had
that.
a question about exactly what you're bringing up. Wondering if, I know that there's some requirements, whether a job's exempt or non-exempt, but I was wondering if this would fall by chance in the exempt for the exact reasons you were mentioning, so that, you know, they're working to get the job done and not working hours. I don't know if that's something maybe we can look into, but I know there are requirements on that.
Jay titled it as a non-exempt.
Right. I'm wondering if it can be exempt.
I would think it could be. This is not, this position was removed from the ASME contract, so there's no code enforcement officer in the old ASME contract. So I think we as a board are free to do whatever we want in this position. You know,
right, but legally, you can't just pick a position to be exempt. They have to have certain requirements. So I'm not sure if this is one that does. Maybe Janet or somebody could look into it. But for the exact reasons you were mentioning, so that if they have to work on a Saturday, they just flex their hours just to get the job done.
Right.
So I'd also like to make a, if we are going to fill it at some point, which I don't think is going to be immediately, is to have like a set schedule in advance of interviewing. So let's say we say they have to work 2 Saturdays a month, 1 Sunday a month, you know, they work once again, I'm not sure if there'll be a 4-day-a-week job, a 5-day-a-week job, but, you know, Obviously, one of the issues we have with some of the businesses and different aspects is everyone knows, like after, 5 o'clock on a Friday, you can put out whatever signs and anything you want, as long as you have them removed by, 7 o'clock in the morning on Monday. And there's actually companies that'll actually do that.
Yeah.
So I'd like to make it so we don't necessarily have it publicized. So the third Saturday every month, they're going to work so they know what to do. But this needs to be more than just a regular, quote unquote, like 9 to 5 type job, Monday through Friday. And obviously we can do that and make it, if we can do that while it's exempt or not non-exempt. But yeah, I think we need a little more checking or get Hans to give us the information on that one.
And I do need to correct myself. It's the building official position that has to be an employee. I think the ordinance need not be, but the building official does, and the township does have a contract with the building official. So the building official's jobs are enforcement to some degree, but it doesn't cover everything like weeds and stuff like that. So,
Well, that would be a big, I think that's a big decision point. If it can be a full-time or a part-time, depending on what it needs to be, per employee, then there's benefits to doing it that way.
So George, I got the impression from Jay that he didn't want to do it anymore. Like he was pretty much saying
he did not personally want to do it. I don't know that.
I got it from like he didn't want the responsibility, the complaining, the whole piece.
He also said that it's a full-time job, and he doesn't have time to do that and run our building department through current engineering. He said it's easily a full-time job for somebody to take on, and he can't do 2 full-time jobs at once.
So Molly, but was it that he as Kerr Engineering did not want the responsibilities, or Jay personally did not want to do the function anymore?
Both. The answer would be he as an individual doesn't want to do it, and he as a corporate owner does not want to do it. He is happy to assist the code enforcement officer in answering questions and doing investigations and research if necessary. And that's why in the job description, it indicates that the person would work for the supervisor and coordinate with planning and building so that it functions. But essentially this would be, if you will, move to the other side of the aisle out of the building department. If you could envision, then the 2 floating employees we have would then support code enforcement in doing mailing of warning letters, mailing of compliance letters, things like that to assist the field investigations and reporting on a daily basis. So these complaints would leave the building department in total, and the code enforcement officer, using our 2 floating employees to assist, would compile this work.
So that's a lot of new information.
Can we approve the job description and bring this back in December?
The only question, do the hours being worked need to be part of the job description?
That's why I was kind of hoping we could do the exempt so that they can work the hours needed to get the job done, flex their time as needed.
So yeah, we're going to have to go to the labor attorney to get an answer to that. And we're happy to do that and probably get an answer tomorrow. Essentially, the basics of the job description, if the board is willing to accept, we then can move forward to then take the steps to, if you will, identify wage, hours, and authority. Do you want this person to go out and issue 43 tickets on Monday morning, or do you want those to be scrutinized to say, here are the violations that need to go out, yes or no?
Does it say, maybe I'm not seeing it, that you will be working weekends and evening hours?
No,
it does not.
Okay, I think it maybe should, since that's going to be an expectation.
Yep. I think it needs a little more work.
So let's
maybe bring it back
That's fine. We
That's
can,
fine.
Bring it back for December.
Yep.
Mhm.
Hours, exempt, non-exempt, wages, schedule. So we have some idea of flexibility, or a candidate would understand that there's going to be flexibility for them to perform a task and not to exceed a limit of hours. Is there any other questions or concern before I move this to the December agenda? All right. So done. Item 8, letter B as in boy, employee handbook. Obviously, we've all had a chance to see this. Again, kudos to Janet Bushy interacting with the attorneys and Ecto HR and everything that she did to get to this final product. Entertain a motion to adopt.
So can I ask a question? I'm sorry.
Yep.
Obviously, I didn't have a chance to really look at it, and I don't know if Janet's on, but more of a comment on outside employment. I thought, so I'll also reflect back to the fire contract, but I thought we had in our outside employment that the employee was expected to have at least, I'll call it 8 hours of rest or whatever, if they're working a second job, that they're not, I'll say, working 12 hours and then coming in at 7 a.m. at the township. So I'm well, then I'll say in our employment, I would make a comment as to maybe we can discuss that. I just don't think, I don't know.
I think there's several people, at least there used to be, that worked like at restaurants and stuff at night. So,
as long as there's a rest, I'll call it like airplane pilot. You get your 8 hours of rest or whatever, then I don't
think it's 8 hours.
Whatever it is, I don't know. And then the only other thing I had is the 6 occurrences on I'll say, I guess not telling people you're not coming in. Is that consistent with the union ones?
It is, but I would like to have that discussion. So I had 2 questions along that line, Bob. That was one, and a precursor to that. And I'm actually looking for feedback from from Molly, Missy, Dave Campbell, Allison, if she's still on, and Janet. So unscheduled PTO, the way it's written now, and what is in the union contracts state that they only need to give their supervisor a half day's notice. Now, it also says that the supervisor has to approve it, but half day's notice seems to me to be, in order to be compliant, seems to be pretty light. Now, there will be emergencies, doctors, kids, I get all that, but just as a standard practice, a half day's notice seems like not much notice at all, particularly depending on when that half day is. If it's a half day the day before an election, if it's the half day before a planning commission meeting, that can put things in a tailspin. I would also, along with what Bob says, the way it's written, that, and I'll just read this, any time off not scheduled at least a half business day in advance is considered unscheduled. Unscheduled time off is limited to 6 occurrences per year. Any unscheduled time off greater than 2 hours is an occurrence. An occurrence can be more than 1 day for a related illness. Example, about with the flu, 3 days of flu is considered one unscheduled occurrence. Contact is still required with your director or elected official. A total of 6 occurrences are allowed through the year, which I read that people can just not show up to work and not tell anybody 6 times a year without a problem. It says the 6 occurrences are documented. Starting with the 7th occurrence, disciplinary process begins. 7th occurrence, a verbal disciplinary action documented and put in your file. 8th occurrence, written disciplinary action documented and put in your file. ninth occurrence will result in severe disciplinary action up to termination. Management will take into consideration the nature of the unscheduled occurrences. So this says somebody can just not show up for work and not tell anybody 8 times before their job is in jeopardy. And that just seems loose. So for the people that are having to manage people on a day-to-day basis.
I can't see us ever getting to that point. I don't know that occurrences have even been given. You said a half a day isn't enough notice. Don't approve it then.
Okay.
I mean, I know my staff, they wouldn't even think about asking for a day off or a half a day when we're busy. But if it's unexpected, I wouldn't, I'm not going to write them up for it. I'm not going to make it as an occurrence. It depends on the situation, but I've never come across that in my time as the clerk or deputy.
I agree with Missy. You can always say no. If they don't just show up, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. But I've had situations where, for example, somebody gets here at 8:30 in the morning, or they get here at 7:15 and they come in and say, my furnace broke last night. I have a repairman coming at 9. Can I leave for an hour?
Right.
What am I going to do? But if they don't give you a half day warning, all of a sudden you're saying, no, it was unscheduled and this is one of the 6 for something silly.
Right.
So, I'm almost always going to say, yes, it was scheduled, or no, it wasn't a big deal, or they gave me half a day notice when it was really a couple of hours. I mean, if it gets to be a problem, that's when you talk to the person and say, you got to quit doing this every Thursday at 4 o'clock and say something's up. But that I don't have people like that working for me.
No.
And I think across the board, none of the departments, if you will, are having a problem with this. But I do believe, and I would compel the board to please look at this at the next union negotiation, because when and I don't want to pick on anybody, but I'm going to pick on the fire department. When the fire department's working 24-hour shifts and they can just suddenly not appear, and the chief doesn't even have the ability to say why for 6 events, that's wrong. I do believe that has to be addressed, but that goes to the union contract, not to the totality of the rest of the employees. So I think we're very, very close in a document that we can approve.
I think the 6 occurrences, when it says throughout the year, we're coming up on the end of the year. So all of a sudden in January, we're back to 0. Is that the concept? So maybe we want to change this to a rolling 12 months so that, I'll say it this way, bad habits don't all of a sudden disappear or get wiped off. So that would be a comment. I think it should be consistent. I've always felt the consistency, and then maybe we can, again, in our union ones, try to modify it to at least put it into a rolling 12 months. Because to me, this is meant to get rid of, I'll say, bad actors. I don't believe we have them, or at least that many. But if all of a sudden I know I've got 2 more between now and December, and I can do it and not hit number 9, and then in January, guess what? Oh, I'm back to 0. So I think we should consider maybe trying to change it to a rolling 12 months.
That's a good decision. Chief Dundas, please join us.
I wanted to say that in the full-time firefighters contract, it is in any consecutive 12-month period. So it's already like that for the full-time firemen.
Okay.
But I do agree with George that I'm looking forward to negotiations to fix some loopholes.
Can I make a suggestion or a thought that maybe we separate calling in sick, something coming up, rather than no call, no show? Because that's what the whole occurrences was the people. Unfortunately, it's always somebody bad that makes these kinds of rules happen. The no call, no show 2 times or whatever we decide, and then calling in sick, that's at the discretion of your leader.
I like that.
No, I think that's a very descriptive differentiation.
sick that's out of your control. You can't, if your kid is sick, it's going to be an
Right.
occurrence if you
There's-
so call it that. But no call, no show. I can't even imagine anyone doing that, honestly.
Right.
Right.
But it used to happen, and
I know.
unfortunately, that
I
you were
was
here,
there.
yeah.
I
So
was here when it happened. So
that's why.
Is that happening to you, Chief?
No,
Okay,
I usually know about that. They're not coming in.
okay. That's in.
If someone just didn't show up, we would go find them. I would be knocking on their door.
yeah.
You just want to make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
So if we just made that one change then to Bob's suggestion, saying a total of 6 occurrences are allowed through a whatever the language the chief has through a 12 period.
The verbiage in the contract for the full-time fireman says in any consecutive 12-month period.
Okay.
Occurrences in any 12-month consecutive period.
Can we make that change? Is it in the union contract?
This is for non-union.
Okay.
So the rest of it, and kudos to Janet, I think this looks great. Appreciate all the work on the PTO and how that's structured now, which I think is equitable. So can we say approve with, or I'll make a motion to approve as submitted with the change to unscheduled PTO as detailed by the chief.
Support. Motion by Weber, supported by Scott. Any discussion, question, or concern?
George, does this deal with your comment about new employee PTO and how and then the difference between the library versus Richard Center versus the different places that have different hours and days per week?
It does, and Janet, jump in here if I miss something. But rather than talking about PTO days, now we talk about hours. So it's the same schedule that was in place for all of the 4-day-a-week employees is now for everybody that works 37 and a half hours. The other key change to this is that PTO is effective upon your start date, but your first allowable time off is after your 90-day probationary period.
So you get your full bank starting on the 91st day for new employees?
So if you started on, as an example, if you started July 1st, you would get 50% of your full bank immediately, but you couldn't take your first scheduled time until after your probationary period has expired.
So on this handbook, what date is this going to be effective?
January 1st, correct, Janet?
Yes.
2021.
Okay.
So in 6 weeks, then everybody gets a fresh start.
Any other questions or concerns? Motion by Weber, supported by Scott. Roll call vote, please.
Weber,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye. Thank you, Janet.
Phillips,
Aye.
Creech, aye. Magner,
Hi.
Sobel,
Aye.
Burkheiser.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Good job, Janet. Thank you.
Thanks, Janet.
Thank you.
Amazing job. Item number 9, new business. A, resolution vacating a portion of Hardike Lane.
So the adjacent property owners to this portion of Heartache Lane petitioned the Road Commission for Oakland County to abandon that road. All was unanimous of the neighboring property owners. Road, my understanding, is not even built. It just shows up on a map that was accepted by the county. Once the county has accepted the abandonment, it then falls upon the jurisdiction of the township. Traditionally, the township vacates its interest. I have checked. The township doesn't seem to have any interest in it in terms of water or easement access. but we do reserve it just the same. So I'm not aware of any reason why you would want to retain an interest in this particular piece of property.
Thank you, Hans. Entertain a motion.
So
who gets the property?
Adjacent property owners.
If it were two
They just
property owners, you
split
get
it
half,
even?
I get half.
It goes to the center line of the existing road, correct?
So I'm not sure I understand where this specifically is, because I went and
Yeah, I
drove
couldn't
to
find
Hard
it.
Ike Lane. And
I couldn't find it.
It's a paved road.
You actually have to look at this from an aerial view so you can see the plot map lines. This section of what would have been Hard Ike Lane is actually a driveway to an adjacent home and lawn for the home west of it. It has never been created. It just is on a plot map as being Hard Ike Lane.
So it's just a portion of Hard Ike Lane. It's not the entire Hard Ike Lane.
Correct.
Okay. So that was confusing to me then.
Yes.
I'll move the resolution, the township board vacating a portion of Hard Ike Lane.
Support. Make that motion by Sobel, supported by Burkheiser. Any other questions, concerns?
Yeah, who's paying for this?
Township.
Shouldn't be anything.
No, we did.
The legal bills and.
Township
Yeah, we do everything, but then the property owners, it is on them to take the minutes in motion from the the county board of commissioners abandonment, and then take it to registered deeds and do everything to combine it into their own property.
Okay, because where it says, Hans, to return the recorded to you, we're not doing that.
We're returning the resolution. No, correct. I'm sorry. Yes, we have to have a copy of the resolution. We have to maintain a copy for our records. But the deeds or anything associated with that, by operational law, it actually transfers to the adjoining property owners. So technically, there shouldn't be much work to be done, although sometimes it's advisable to do that. But yes, no, we are not doing it for them in that part.
So if they do nothing with it, even though we approve the resolution, it won't happen.
It will happen. By operational law, once the county abandons its interest and the town vacates theirs, by operation of law and statute, the road is split 50-50 to the adjoining property owners.
Well, if they don't take it to the county, if they don't take it to the county to get it registered, nothing happens.
Then we fine them.
No, as opposed to like a property purchase where there'd be a property transfer affidavit, this Oakland County Board of Commissioners resolution goes to assessing, and assessing gets notified that this is now no longer county property, and it becomes the adjacent property owners. Then those two property owners in this case, if they want to dispute it, however, the petition was unanimous, we're good with this. If they wanted to dispute it, where, for the sake of discussion, if one homeowner said, I want my full half, and the neighbor next door has been using it as a driveway all these years, that's between them to fight out. But the county assessor will be given this information and redraw the property lines.
Yeah.
With that, motion by Sobel, supported by Burkheiser. A roll call vote, please.
Sobel.
Aye.
Burkheiser.
Aye.
Magner.
Aye.
Creech. Aye. Phillips.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye. Motion carries. Under new business B, as in Phillips, Treasurer Phillips, bank depositories.
Make a motion to approve the bank depositories as recommended by the treasurer.
Support.
Motion by Burkheiser, supported by Magner. Questions, concern, discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Burkheiser.
Aye.
Magner.
Aye.
Sobel.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Creech. Aye. Scott.
Aye. Motion carries. Item C is in Charles, conditional rezoning petition for 3144 Martin Road.
I'll introduce this, and then I know the petitioner would want to make a brief presentation on this. This is a petition to conditionally rezone a piece of property not too far from Township Hall on the east side of Martin Road between Oakley Park and Township Drive. It's a former driving range property with an office building out along the Martin Road frontage. Pulte Homes hopes to rezone that property, conditionally rezone that property to redevelop it with 103 attached townhomes. The property is currently zoned TLM, Technology and Light Manufacturing, and they want to retain that base zoning. But what they want to do is take the town center overlay, or what we call the TC overlay, and extend it one property northward to encompass this property, because the TC overlay allows for residential development where the base zoning of TLM does not allow residential development. To have this property included within the TC overlay is consistent with the township's master plan, which includes this property within our town center special area plan. The Planning Commission looked at this proposal at their meeting last week, Monday, and held a public hearing. And subsequent to that public hearing and a lot of discussion with the petitioner, gave a unanimous motion recommending approval of this conditional rezoning. The next step would be for Pulte to come before you as a township board this evening, and in the hopes that they will get a final approval from the township board for that conditional rezoning. If that were to happen, Pulte would go back in front of the Planning Commission with a fully detailed, fleshed out site plan. And that site plan would be consistent with the conditional rezoning plan that you have here in front of you this evening. The conditional rezoning plan is an exhibit to the conditional rezoning agreement, which is a contract between the developer and the township saying if you can give us the zoning we need, we commit to build this and only this. So the conditional rezoning plan shows the general layout of the site and the general landscaping. It also includes some conceptual building elevations that Pulte has committed to with the Planning Commission to upgrade when they come back with a site plan. And within the terms of the conditional rezoning agreement are specifics as far as the number of units and some specifics regarding the building materials and upgrades to landscaping and other site amenities that they hope will compel the township to approve this conditional rezoning. I know Bill Anderson is the engineer for Pulte. Joe Score is their vice president of development. They are both with us this evening. I know Bill Anderson is hoping that he can share the screen so that he can go through a presentation on this project. Before
Dave, can I ask
if anyone has any questions for me?
Yes, I do. I'm, I guess, confused on the requirements that we're supposed to look at, which is consistency with the master plan, how our light industry, and then behind it, industrial, and then how the overlay by us approving to carry it over another piece of property. How is that consistent with the master plan? I don't get that piece.
If you look at our future land use map within our master plan, which I could pull up this evening, it might take me a second. But within our future land use map, there is a designation called town center. And the town center encompasses all the properties within this vicinity, including active projects, the Barrington project, Mr. Aiken's 5 and Main project, the Granger Assisted Living Facility, Township Hall. All of those properties are within the town center special area plan designation within our master plan. So then the zoning district that is consistent with that master plan designation is the town center overlay. This particular property has already been designated within the future land use map as being within that town center special area plan. So to rezone it to be within the town center overlay would be consistent with the master plan, and that's what the Planning Commission effectively agreed upon when they offered a recommendation of approval for this conditional rezoning.
Okay, and then one more had more to do with reading comments, had to do with the folks that have the industry, I guess I'll call it, maybe a little hardcore industry behind there, had concerns that as you're building houses in there that they're going to get complaints later. So I'm going to say it two ways. One, can you give me an idea of what the planning folks thought about that? Because I didn't see that in anything. It was just more of comments. And then number two, I'll ask Pulte as to if they're doing something to help alleviate that.
That question was brought up at the planning commission meeting, and Pulte addressed it by stating that since these are owner occupied units, I should have mentioned that these are not rentals, these are owner occupied units. So they fully disclose with the potential buyers what the existing or adjacent land uses are. And their answer to the planning commission that I think Mr. Score could address again this evening is that they would disclose to any potential buyers what the users are adjacent, including the one particular user that was vocal during the planning commission meeting public hearing was Hercules Equipment. And they were concerned that they generate a certain amount of noise, that they generate a certain amount of, I think they mentioned dust. And so what they don't want is for these potential future homeowners to then come after them for any sort of damages for the type of activities that they've been doing on their property for a long time. But I would perhaps defer to Mr. Score to speak in more detail of how Pulte handles that with their potential homeowners.
So you buy your house near the airport, you better like airplanes.
Yeah, it's not a whole lot different than Merrill. No. I would compare it to Merrill Park. Some of those folks bought a house not too far away from a gun range that makes a lot of noise, and they had to accept to your analogy. If you buy a house next to an airport, you need to accept the noise.
Okay.
So at the same time, going back quite a few years, because I'm the old guy on the board, and I understand what you're saying, Bob, but I don't remember. I think it was one of Jim Galbraith's properties. I think it was the one north of the sewage treatment plant. Even though everyone knew you're buying a home next to a sewage treatment plant, after a couple of years, and when the wind blew from the south to the north, the odor, they were getting enough complaints that we ended up having to, I don't remember, Phil might be able to jump in. Either we ended up spending money as a township to put in some kind of scrubbers or filters. We did something because either they were suing us or they were going to sue us. I don't remember quite all those details, but I do remember it did cost the township money, even though you bought next to a sewage treatment plant.
Well, your memory is correct. And there was work done. Actually, Jason, if he's on, I don't see him, might have more detail on what was done. But I think it was done as much as an accommodation to the neighbors, because there was something that could be done to ameliorate the odor, not necessarily because it was legal obligation to do it.
So I just want to make sure that we aren't, I almost like to have like a hold harmless. So if something happens where the township is sued because of some of this, that Pulte agrees to pay us 110% of all our costs.
Why would the township be sued? I'm more concerned for the businesses that are there. I mean, they've been there, they're doing their same thing, and now all of a sudden they end up in there because I have no idea. Paint spray comes over the fence.
I don't see the township being sued. In the case of the sewer plant, we own the plant, and as an owner, we had responsibilities or potential responsibilities. In this case, our zoning ordinance has certain performance standards related to industrial operation, noise, odor, dust, and we do have an obligation as a municipality to independently enforce those. And if the neighbors in the new housing complains that there's a problem, then we investigate to see if they're within the limits. If they're within the limits, there's nothing we can do. If they're outside the limits, then we take enforcement action.
There's, as we, and maybe we can get Mr. Anderson and Mr. Score to go through this. One of the things you'll see with that portion of the property is they're leaving the majority of that as a wooded area to act as a bit of a buffer between where the homes are going to be and the industrial businesses. So that might come a little more evident as they go through the information.
With that being said, welcome, Mr. Anderson. Welcome, Mr. Score. It's always good to see you both. I know I've had the opportunity to see a lot of this from conceptual phase to where you are currently. If we could let Mr. Anderson speak, if we need to share the screen so he can put something up there for either he or Joe, happy to do so.
Yes, please.
maybe while that's coming up for the rest of the board, two other items that were discussed at the Planning Commission, and there was a great deal of discussion around the noise. But two, I want you to know that we looked at the density concerns with this, because obviously that's always an issue. And this falls within the guidelines of density. So it's not something that we consider to be too much density for the area. And the second, a traffic study was done, and the determination has been that the traffic off of Martin Parkway, which is always an item for review, would be much less with this development than it would be if that entire property was developed as a TLM with office buildings, et cetera.
Go ahead, Mr. Anderson. We've got the Martin Parkway Townhomes.
Thank you, and I appreciate being here tonight. And I know it's been a long evening, so I'll be brief. And sounds like there's been a lot of good data shared on this project already. But we've been to the Planning Commission a couple times, and they were very favorable on the project. I just want to take a couple minutes because we haven't formally been in front of the board yet to talk about Martin Parkway Town. But we'll go quickly through. Assuming my thing works. Yeah, everyone knows where we're at. We're located near shopping in the M5, and this is really a transitional zoning property as we saw it. There's the industrial to the north, residential to the south, and we're again near that town center area where you want some folks. So we're nicely located for the product we're looking at right now. The existing site, again, there's about 35,000 square feet, mostly vacant office industrial on the property up near the frontage. As it was alluded to, it's zoned technology light manufacturing, and we're within the Commerce Town Center master plan area. So we think obviously this project, as we're proposing it, conforms with the master plan for the township. Again, we're in the town center overlay district. Our plan, as you have, it's about 16 acres. We have 103. We're proposing 103. They're 2-story townhome units for sale. Our density is just 6.6 units an acre, which is below the appropriate zoning for that. We have quite a bit of open space, about 40% of open space, all common areas, nice perimeters. We have significant buffers. There's been a lot of discussion about the buffer to the north and to the south. To the north, we have the industrial users. We have our roadway. We're going to landscape between there and the industrial users. And to the south, we're going to put a significant amount of landscaping to our single family neighbors to the south. So we got significant buffers there. Almost 40 feet on the south side. We have 1 acre of preserved woods up in the northeast corner that we're looking to leave. We have a large central park area, as you can see in the middle of the plan there, kind of a gathering area for these folks. And then we've added a nice boulevard entry as well. We have a nice boulevard entry, and we have a emergency access connection at Ridgeway Court in the northeast corner there as well. Just a nice simple loop roadway for the project. I don't know why I keep going back on me. Apologize for that. Just basic project information that's on your stuff. Again, our setbacks are pretty significant. We have a good setback off of Martin Parkway. We have our detention basins up there. Our townhomes are set back over 100 feet. Our setbacks, both to our neighbors to the north and south, are significantly more than what it's zoned. And again, we're going to landscape those. So we got nice setbacks proposed. We think this is a pretty beneficial project for the community. This unique product is going to meet a nice housing demand to bring young families and active adults, and frankly, keep some of the valued residents within the community with this housing type as it attracts new young families in Commerce Township. Again, we're in the town center area near a lot of amenities and the primary transportation corridor. So this product fits really well in this area. Again, we're preserving over 1 acre of preserved woodlands in the northeast area of the project. We're pretty excited about that. So there'll be a mature aesthetic appeal into the project. Again, it complies with our township master plan, which is always a benefit of a project. We're developing a high quality neighborhood we're pretty excited about. Again, I spoke about the open space provided. We're having a high quality townhome product. We're gonna have nice landscaping, foundation plantings. We got the preserved woodlands and new plantings throughout, and they'll all be professionally maintained by the professional of the homeowners association. So it'll always look like a beautiful, cohesive neighborhood. And we're pretty excited about the architectural design. You've seen the renderings that came with the CR plan that you have. This is a little different, but in the same character of the illustration provided. This is a brand new project that Pulte's building just on the south side of Ann Arbor. Again, it's a 2-story attached townhome, all 3-bedroom units. And as David had indicated at the Planning Commission, their only comment on our product was they wanted to see some upgraded doors, and we've added and offered that in our updated conditional rezoning agreement that you have. So that's really it. And again, myself and Joe Score of Pulte Homes are here to answer any questions you guys might have tonight.
I think I read it somewhere, but what was the possible, what are they going to cost these homes?
300 to 375.
Okay, thank you.
Dave Campbell, might be losing. Where are my things here? Can you hear me?
Got you.
Okay. So if we're working our way from Pontiac Trail, we're coming through that M5. We're going to get hotels. We're going to get apartments. We move into whatever the other phases are, hopefully. And then we have now homes, normal single family dwellings. And now we're moving into townhomes again. So does that, I guess to me, it doesn't seem consistent flow to do that as we move from single family homes to townhomes and then into, again, neighborhoods. So I guess it's more of a comment.
I might argue that it is a good transition from the single family homes to a little bit higher density attached owner occupied homes, and then transitioning from there to the TLM, the office parks, and the light manufacturing.
I think somebody had a secondary device that was echoing there. I agree. I think it's a great transition where we're going from workplace locations into condo owned housing facility into larger family facilities. I think I've seen a lot of people or heard from a lot of people that this is something they're looking for. They want to be able to downsize. They want a condominium. They want a maintained property, a groomed property they don't have to deal with. So when they're traveling, when they're off visiting family, when we're allowed to do that again someday, this will be that preferred housing that people, I'll use myself. I just downsized from a 5-bedroom home to a small 1,500 square foot spot as a transitional housing. And these are those people that we all hope to see walking to dinner in the upcoming complex of our downtown, if you will.
Maybe one additional comment, because one of the board members had asked me prior to the meeting, there are 10 units that are facing Martin Parkway, where actually the back of those units will be facing Martin Parkway. And Pulte has agreed to work with the Planning Commission on changing the elevations, increasing brick going further up, understanding that it's going to be visible from a large number of people, and we have no doubt they'll work with us to make that acceptable.
Mr. Weber's correct. They, as I mentioned, they still have to come back to the planning commission. And I think the planning commission was very clear in their discussion. And I think Mr. Score can confirm that he understands what the planning commission's direction was in terms of building materials and the aesthetic that the planning commission hopes to see, particularly from the public view along Martin.
So if there's no more comments, I'll make a motion to approve the conditional rezoning for 3144 Martin Road for PZZ number 19-0001, the Towns at Merrill Park.
Support. Motion by Weber, supported by Scott. Any other questions, concerns, or discussion? Are there any other comments, Joe, or
you got to ask Mr. Score something. He's been here this whole time. He's got to answer at least one question.
I will throw one out there because there's always something that comes up, Joe. Do you see these being deeded over as county roads eventually, or are you going to keep them as a private road, homeowner maintained?
They're going to be private roads.
Okay.
That most of our developments are private roads, and personally, I don't really believe the county wants them.
No, and I'm sure Dennis Kolar, the managing director of the Road Commission, Logan County, is happy to hear you say that.
Yeah, but the standards are identical. County roads, private roads, same standards, design standards.
Now, just for the fun of this, knowing the history of this site, I've got to ask you, Joe, what's the over and under? How many golf balls you can find?
Well, we found a fair number of golf balls already, so it's a tough question, Mr. Supervisor.
Is there going to be an HOA?
I'm sorry.
There will be, yes.
Have you given any thought to the idea of not allowing any rentals unless they're at least 1 year?
So I have not. We do have certain restrictions when it comes to leasing homes in our master deed and bylaws, but that particular provision, I'm not sure that I'm aware of that one. Yeah.
To that point, I would only share, Joe, I know that we have another complex in the southwest off of Beck Road, Addington. I would say 50 or more % of those have become just property acquisitions and rental properties. So it is an issue. I don't know if the HOA will want to address something of that nature, but it will become a question without a doubt.
So just so I understand, the question was whether you have a limitation on rentals that there has to be a minimum of a 1 year lease. Is that what you asked, Trustee Sobel?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, I can look into that. I don't think it doesn't just sound familiar with regard to our other townhome communities or residential communities, but I can take a look at it.
With this project, Joe or Bill, when do you anticipate breaking ground?
We would anticipate land development, all things going, if all things go well, sometime this summer of 2021. Okay.
And then I'll ask, I know he's here diligently watching, Director Mark Stacy from the DDA. Will this project become a member of the Homeowners Association for the totality of the DDA?
No, it's not. It will not be in the Master Homeowners Association. However, it is TIF taxable, so it will help from that standpoint.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, so motion by Weber, supported by Scott. Roll call vote, please.
Weber?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Sobel?
Aye.
Magner?
Aye.
Phillips?
Aye.
Burkheiser?
No.
Creech? Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Anderson, Mr. Score. It's always a pleasure to see you, and look forward to seeing this project grow.
Thank you
Thank
very
you very
much.
much. We appreciate it.
Have a great evening.
You too.
Moving on to item number 10, adoptions. A as in Adam. An ordinance to amend the zoning map of the Charter Township of Commerce to be known as Zoning Amendment Ordinance number 3.049 regarding 3144 Martin Road.
So you just conditionally rezone the property now. This is the resolution simply saying, or no, an amendment just saying, adjusting the map to reflect what you just did.
Right.
That's all it is.
So I'll make a motion to amend the map to conditionally rezone 3144 Martin Road, Martin
Support.
Parkway.
Motion by Weber, supported by Scott. Any discussion necessary? Roll call vote, please.
Weber,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Creech, aye. Phillips,
Aye.
Burkheiser,
Aye.
Magner,
Aye.
Sobel.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 11 are the warrants, or the orders rather. Orders and warrants.
Motion to approve the orders as amended.
Support.
Support.
Was that Sobel or I apologize?
Weber and Magner.
Thank you.
Yep.
What
Motion
was
by
the-
Weber, supported by Magner.
What was amended?
What was amended
Janet,
though?
Janet sent out an amendment today.
Okay. Yes, I know that. I know what you're talking about. I remember now.
Roll call vote, please. Weber
Weber?
and Magner.
Aye.
Sobel,
Aye.
Creech, aye. Phillips,
Aye.
Burkheiser,
Aye.
Magner,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 12, other matters. If I could start off, just a brief one. If we could just, Outrun Hunger has completed its task, so we don't run into any problems. If we could do a refund of their security deposit to get that taken care of. Topic number 2, the Union Lake boat launch. I've been in communication with the real estate division of the Department of Natural Resources. Obviously, they've been held hostage by COVID like the rest of the world. They have initiated the process to get the appraisal done. I've asked Rob Corbett, the DNR real estate person, to look at what is because they're going to go for a fair market value on this. What is the value of the boat launch? What is the value of the parking lot? And to see if there is any idea that we'd want only the boat launch site. The boat launch in and of itself, through Jay James analysis, is not a buildable lot. It wouldn't meet the setbacks between the water, the neighbors, Lockland Street and Union Lake Road. So we should be seeing a response from the Department of Natural Resources 60 to 90 days. If you recall, a while back, we agreed we would pay for the appraisal process of this to get everything done. The Department of Natural Resources said if for some reason the township board chose to defer and not buy this property, whoever the buyer was, they would refund our appraisal fees from the sale of the property. At the same time, as you heard me say to Senator Runstead when he was on with us, I have sent a communication to Representative Ryan Berman and to Senator Runstead to look at the opportunity for us to have a lame duck session where the legislature in Lansing, as they often push through at the end of terms, an opportunity for this to be conveyed to Commerce Township at a reduction than fair market value.
So Dave.
Yep.
If it's non-buildable, who the heck's going to buy it?
Well, if someone buys the entire parking lot and lakefront, they may be able to come through and say, we're going to have a condo complex on the parking lot side, and we're going to turn the lakefront into a park only accessible by the owners of the condos or something of that nature.
Are they two separate sidwells or something?
There are two separate sidwells. One is the boat launch, but the parking lot sidwell also has easement and access on the lake side.
Okay.
And the Department of Natural Resource did say they've had multiple inquiries of people that are wanting to buy this property, but they have all been told that Commerce Township has the first right of refusal on this property. Other than that, just the quick COVID update. Obviously, the Health and Human Services for the state of Michigan, Governor Whitmer, and all of the people have thrown another curveball out there that we're all adapting to. You've seen the email that I sent out to all employees, board members, and department heads. We are adapting in the sense that fortunately our activity here at the Township Hall has gone back to almost nothing. Though in 3 weeks, when this term of confinement that the governor and Health and Human Services are imposing on us, we are going to see an influx of activity with the clerk or the treasurer's office and getting taxes, and undoubtedly dog license while people are in line. So I would suggest that the board may want to assist Supervisor Larry Gray in coming up with some way to potentially close off the north entrance, allow only the people to come in the east entrance. And if they have to go further than the treasurer's desk, create some sign-in appointment process or something to restrict access to the building in total, to reduce contact with everyone and anyone. If you know, or if you were in the building during the election, people were swarming every single counter. Some were trying to use them as ballot stations, voting booths. Some were like, I just don't want to wait in line. I want you to handle me. So though we did have all our spit barriers and plexiglass and isolation, we had, I think I shared photographs with you folks. We had people lined up from the clerk's counter all the way outside through the parking lot to the dumpster. Several days of that activity. But if we are moving into a situation where we're going to have people signing in and for contact tracing, and potentially having someone out there, the Board of Trustees is either going to have to find a temporary person or sign someone to go into the question and sign in, so everyone walking in the door just doesn't sign in as Mark Whitmer, and that's Mark with a C. If you're filling out something in a restaurant, for the sake of discussion.
What restaurants?
Yeah. Other than that, anybody else with other matters?
I have a quick one or question more for Dave Campbell.
Go ahead, Bob.
Live. I always forget when I'm on. I'm on. Okay.
You're on.
The marathon station, as I was reading it, could you give us a quick, what I'm asking is, I remember the conditional rezoning where we put together 3 different pieces of property.
Yeah.
We then reversed that. So I'm assuming that means the property is its original zone. And
Yes.
now all of a sudden they're enlarging their building. And I do still have issues with the alcohol because there's no way they have 400 square feet in there right now. So anyway.
So was there a question?
Well, the question has to do with, I didn't think the property behind them, so what would that be? To the south and east was able to be a gas station.
Yeah, that's correct. So the property that the gas station currently sits on is split zone. So the front half of it is zone B3, which is a zone, that's our general commercial zoning district. So that's a zoning district where gas stations are permitted as a special land use. The back half of the property is zoned R1D, where of course gas stations aren't permitted as a permitted use. Going back 3 years, what they wanted to do was tear down the existing building and build a brand new building behind the existing building, and that brand new building would be a much bigger store, and it was also going to have a drive-through Tim Hortons. So what they were having to do at that time was conditionally rezone the back half of the property, get that to B3 so that they could build this big building with a drive-through Tim Hortons. They've scaled all that back with this current proposal so that their expanded gas station, where they would keep the existing building but then put an addition on it, all of that lands on the portion of the property that's zone B3. So in other words, they didn't need a rezoning to be able to do what they're looking to do now.
Okay.
And Bob, just as Dave Campbell and Jay James did go out and and verify the 400 square feet, which not only includes the what's in the retail area, but also the walk-in cooler behind. So if you're going to pick up a case of beer, so they've verified that, and we've accepted that.
All right. I mean, look at this. The building inside doesn't even look like it's 400 square feet. So, I mean, that's what, 20 by 20. I don't know. Anyway, okay. And then my only last one is it's more of a reminder, but then also, I guess, Missy, the swearing in is Thursday at 5:30. Are we getting a schedule? How's that working?
It's kind of a flexible schedule.
Okay.
We're going in shifts. And I haven't.
So just show up Thursday a little before 5:30?
Before 5:30, the doors will be locking at 5:30 like normal. I'm having Larry go first, and I've got, everyone going in at different intervals. You're right up there in the beginning, so you don't have to wait very long.
Okay.
And then it's every 10 to 15 minutes after that.
Okay.
So wherever you are placed within the building, I will come get you when it's your turn.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you.
So
That's
you
it.
and your
Thanks,
family
Dave.
will go sit in a meeting room until it's your turn.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we all have to be sworn in separately.
Who's going to take pictures? Are you responsible for taking their own pictures, or?
Yep.
Okay.
So, Dave, I've got two quick items, and the first one you mentioned, outrun hunger, and I would say that the 51 volunteers did a great job. The event was staged into 4 different heats. Everybody was masked up, at least to start the race, and they did the 4 different heats, all of them 6 feet apart as they went. Took about they went in 20-minute increments, basically. They had 249 racers, which was a much bigger number, I think, than anybody thought. They also had 113 donors that contributed, 12 sponsors, which was new for them. And they submitted or contributed $22,189, which was a record, which will provide 1,100 families with a warm Thanksgiving and Christmas meal in our area. All of that money will be donated to the Highland House and to one other activity in, Open Door.
Hospitality House and Open Door.
Open Door, correct. So the only other item I have, so anyway, it went off well. The only hiccup they had was the windstorm on Sunday wouldn't allow the tent company to come get there, and their tent got destroyed. But it was all been cleaned up. It was all cleaned up yesterday. The only other question I have, Dave, is really, so I don't think we've seen Wendy for a few meetings now. And I was just curious that normally I would think that we would have her on here, if nothing else, to answer some questions regarding kind of what's happening, what their metrics are.
She's been in quarantine for COVID. So I know that it is relevant to that. I don't know if the ability to communicate or participate in Zoom has been impeded. But she has been responsive to text or emails, any question of that nature. So don't hesitate to throw something out there. If there's as a department head, you need to reach her, please do. But I do know that her household has been in a quarantine setting.
Thanks for that. That's all I have.
Okay. If I could throw one in there, George, just to,
I have.
okay. If I could throw one in there, George, just so you know, for future use with Outrun Hunger, if they are going to come in and put in circus tents and big stakes in the ground, please remind them to alert us of that so we can chalk out where the sprinkler system is, because no one asked, and they put big old steel stakes out there. Hopefully they didn't do any damage. Anyways, Miss Magner, what do you got?
I don't know if the township board level should talk about this or somewhere else, but the bike trails. I've noticed some kind of concerns, and I've also heard of some concerns, especially on Benstein Road and the bike trail close to Maple. Bikers and joggers tend to just kind of dart out into the roadway and not waiting for the yellow flashing light. I don't know if you guys experienced this or heard anything. But anyways, I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention. Maybe we can brainstorm some ideas, or I don't know what signage is on the trails. I'm not a jogger, but.
Just if I could expand on it, it's a great topic. I've almost had several people become the hood ornament after I carry out in Wixom coming north on Wixom Road. But I can tell you the Michigan Airline Trail, the Road Commission of Oakland County, we have done extensive education, extensive signage. You go to the Michigan Airline Trail site, they did a complete video with friends of the trail of how to cross with a bike, how to cross as a pedestrian, how to do it all. Unfortunately, I hate to be rude, you can't cure stupid. And when these people just race out and take off, all we can do is try to educate drivers and try to educate everyone. As far as the Michigan Airline Trail, go to their website. They've done some quality productions in training videos and educational pieces. They've done print pieces, and we put up temporary signage on the trail at every crosswalk to educate people on both the rapid flashing beacons and the hawk light. The hawk lights are on Haggerty Road and on Pontiac Trail in the city of Walled Lake. Those are the red lights you have to stop for and do everything. The others are just caution, be careful, there's somebody coming. It is a real education system that we have to adopt, and really it's probably no different than, I didn't have to wear a seatbelt when I started driving. I never wore a helmet when I went sledding or skiing. Maybe that explains a lot, but.
So it's the Trailway that handles that, not the township board when it doing.
Correct.
Okay.
But the Road Commission and MDOT have been great participants in this whole process.
Okay. That's all.
All right. Mr. Sobel.
I don't know if Molly was going to bring up Cascade or not.
I've already talked to Larry Gray about it. It'll be on in January.
Okay. I guess the only thing is, do we need to, for those of us who use the bridge with the background, do we need to remove the blue waves?
Oh, come on.
Only half of them so far, Rick.
I don't have anything, Dave.
Okay. Who am I missing? I got
Molly. She's had her hand
Molly,
up.
Molly, go ahead, Molly. Part of your hand is in the Mediterranean or something there. I couldn't see it all. Yeah.
Just as a side note to your COVID comments, Dave, about the township and obviously the lockdown orders, from what's going on the Michigan Townships Association websites and everything, most people are shutting back down to the public, but we're supposed to be taking tax bills in starting December 1st. And if we can't do that publicly for all of the people who want to pay with cash now that marijuana is legal, then we're going to have that many more people giving excuses as to why they didn't pay or that we're not servicing them. So my wonderful deputy and the rest of the staff came up with a good idea, or at least I thought it was a good idea today. So we acted on it. We are putting a small flyer in the tax bills that are mailed to people who don't have a mortgage company paying their tax bill. So any person who pays their own tax bill, that basically it says, attention senior citizens 65 and older and those unable to leave their homes. In an effort to reduce in-person contact and lines in the township hall during tax collection starting December 1st through February 16th of 2021, Commerce Township Treasurer's Office will make alternative arrangements for those people most in need. Please call 960-7040 for more information or to schedule an appointment. We're hoping that people, this was sparked by a woman who sent in a late payment for her summer tax bill And we got it Monday, and elderly woman had written the dollar amount on the payee line, and the payee on the dollar amount line, she had forgotten to add the interest we told her, and she didn't write the dollar amount out for the right amount. And then when we called her, we found out she hadn't been able to pay her village taxes either. Karen went over to her house, took her check back, got the village check, got our check, helped her fill them out so that they were correct, dropped off the village check and brought hers back, and she couldn't have been happier than to have somebody do that for her, because she couldn't leave her house and she couldn't get here to even use the Dropbox. So we're hoping enough people will call us, and Karen and I are prepared, like if somebody wants us to come pick up a check, or if they want to make an appointment to drop off cash, they can call when they get here, and we'll let them in if we end up closing to the public, or if we have too many people here at a time.
Have you considered doing like curbside?
The problem with curbside is if somebody wants to give you cash, you have to be able to count it. And we have a cash counter now, and our protocol is that 2 people have to be there. So it's one thing if somebody wants to stay in their car and give us a check, and we can look at their tax bill and look at their check and make sure it's filled out right and say, you're good to go. The only other problem I see with that is if they want a stamped receipt. I'm not going to have somebody sitting out in the driveway with their, their date stamp as paid, collecting checks from people who drive up. They can put it in the Dropbox.
Could you work out an arrangement with like one of the banks in the township so that the people could drop it off and we pay them a $10 fee or something or whatever, and they account for it? Or Allison may not like this idea, but maybe using the window in the library to be able, that way they can slip through, you can have some kind, be able to stamp it and give it back, the receipt.
I don't want to, we pay bank fees like you wouldn't believe anyway. I don't want to pay any more bank fees. And I'm not sure what banks that we use in this area actually offer that service. I know Comerica used to, but we don't bank with Comerica anymore. As far as doing something at the library, then we'd have to have one of my staff parked at the library waiting for somebody to, drive up to the library window, and that means they're not here.
What if you just did like for if you did like a 4-hour block Tuesdays from 7 to 8 to noon or something like that?
But what's the difference? Can't they just drive to the township and call and say, I'm outside, can you come stamp my thing?
That's part of it. People can call and we're not locking people into any specific arrangements, but my staff has to stay safe. I'm not gonna send them to somebody's house at 8 o'clock at night to pick up $6,800 in cash because somebody can't get here on time. Then they're gonna have to write a check and mail it or drop it in the Dropbox. We're trying to get the people who are vulnerable, who shouldn't be out in public, elderly people who are sick, who really can't leave their houses for whatever reason, and or they'd be using People's Express or an Uber to get here and back. We're trying to help those people. We're not going to do it for just anybody. We're going to try and make it easy for the people who really need the help.
I wish you well. I wish you well on that endeavor. I will tell you though, please, I know it's wonderful. I don't know, I'll guess and say 15 times a year, I would run a check out to someone to get it redone or do something for you. I would encourage you not to send someone alone to the average household to be doing these things. And if you're going to do that sort of thing, you're probably going to have to do it with pairs or something for safety's sake of employees. But regardless, anything you can do to help the people, I'm sure the people will appreciate.
Like I said, it's a crapshoot. If it doesn't work or my people end up feeling not comfortable doing it, then we'll just say, sorry, it didn't work. Figure it out. I mean, we have multitude of options for people to pay either with a credit card online or with an e-check online. Our bigger concern is we took in more cash this past summer.
Yep.
I mean, seriously, we had people coming in with $9,990 in cash and then writing the balance of their property tax bill with a check so that it wouldn't go over 10 grand. And it was stacks and stacks and stacks of 20s. So it takes forever to count. It won't now that I have my dollar bill counter. Thank you.
Yeah.
But those are the people that are going to be the problem for us. It's not the people. Most people know they can use the Dropbox or online services.
And Molly, if you need any arms and legs to help with that at different times, or if you get overwhelmed, let me know. I'd be happy to hop in the truck and make some deliveries or make some collections.
Okay.
Anything from Hans, from Phil, from the legal side of the fence here? Nope.
Nope, nothing for me.
Okay. All right, very good. How about Jason? Thank you for taking care of the hydrant permit and everything so that the directional boring didn't have to come to a screeching halt today.
Nope, everything's good. There was a lot of volunteers 2 weeks ago at the Scarlet's Playground that did a good job putting in about $80,000 worth of landscaping.
Wow.
It looks nice if you head out there. The pavement's done. So
yeah, that's huge. Mr. Stacy, do you have anything there, or any of the department heads want to hit *9 and raise your hand? And
no, I think I'm good tonight.
All right. Well,
Dave,
with that, yep.
Dave, you had one last chance to not forget me.
I did this on purpose. I did it.
No, you did not. And I was going to say nice things about you. So I don't know what I'm going to say now. I have to talk though. No, I wanted to say thank you, Dave, for the last 4 years. And I really, really appreciate everything you did, whether it was asked or forced. I appreciate all your help. And it's been a pleasure working with you, and I will miss you dearly. I know you're not going to be far, but I appreciate everything you've done for me in the clerk's office and the staff here at Commerce Township and all the boards and commissions and everyone else. On that note, I hope Larry can kill spiders with a scream. So he's going to be put on the spot, I'm sure. And Bob, I'm glad to see that you're on the mend, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Yeah. With that, I just wanted to reach out to everybody and let you know, it's been an honor to work with you. It's absolutely been an honor for all of us to interact and really get through the issues of, sometimes we just have to agree to disagree, but, it's kind of like the coyote and the sheepdog. The coyote tries to steal the sheep, and the sheepdog tries to stop them. And at the end of every cartoon segment, there's that steam whistle, and then they're at the time clock the next, with their lunch boxes. See you tomorrow, Fred. See you tomorrow, Ralph. But you have an impeccable team here. I hope everything stays well. Someone's got to teach Campbell how to write a better story, but I'm just picking on him. He's a great writer, and I want to thank all of the staff here, the fire department, the library, senior center, maintenance department. Everybody here has just been so kind, so nice, so appreciative, and it really has been a family. I'm absolutely flattered to have been involved in your families, whether it's Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, fundraising, popcorn or candy or all these things, and knowing that we're getting to see the family grow with new grandchildren and unions and growth and things like that. It really has been an honor. It's been a privilege. I hope that you give Larry the grace and gratitude that you've given me, and allow him to grow and keep things going. It's been an absolute pleasure. I will always be around. I was going to throw it out there. I mean, if it gets to be intrusive, yeah, we can talk about a consultant fee, but my phone number is not changing. I'm around the corner. If you have a question, you have a concern, and I'll be honest, I hope I'm not a threat. I hope I'm an asset. And, things like the substation and community projects where you would like to have a citizen involved in the discussions, I would be an honor to continue to participate. So with that, I want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. I hope that you take the time to spend time with family. I don't care what the governor says. Enjoy your time, find time to find common ground. I will tell, I got to pick on Mr. Campbell here at the end. Your son still owes a description of Turtle Pond. That homework assignment has to be sent to Supervisor Larry Gray, and Supervisor Larry Gray will get that mounted on plexiglass on a pedestal off the M5 trail so that the citizens of Commerce Township and the visitors here will know why it's there and why we have a turtle pond. I think Clerk Creech will assist to make sure that my request is honored and completed. I know Larry Gray will be honored to make sure that that young man does, or those two young men do that homework assignment and get it done, David. It's an important piece. We got to get it done and keep up the good work. I'm flattered to have been part of it thus far. I'm eager to see how far it expands, and I'm always willing to come for any ribbon cuttings or celebrations. And I swear to God, I'm going to find the margarita mixer someday here. But thank you all. And with
Thank you,
that,
Dave.
I'm gonna ask for a formal motion to adjourn. Missy's seen me do this before. I'm voting no. I don't want it to end.
I'll make the motion to adjourn at 10:25.
Support.
So there's my name. I'm not doing it. All right.
Creech? Aye. Magner?
Aye.
Phillips?
Aye.
Weber?
Aye.
Burkheiser?
Got a thumb up.
Aye.
He was playing with his dog.
It was earlier.
Aye.
Scott?
And again, it's a nay. And you didn't have a second, so never ends. Thank you all.
Adios.
Thanksgiving.
Dave.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Dave.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
You bet. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate Merge Live, and see you soon.
Thank you. Best to you.
Thank you.